The following is an exclusive presentation of the World Baseball Classic.
Shohei Ohtani, 1 of 1.
¡Siéntate! Lo retrata sin sonrisa.
God! George has arrived. Good night now. Santa Maria. High and deep and gone.
World Baseball Classic. You get it all.
Well, it was a gloomy and rainy morning in San Juan, but with another full day of Pool A action in the 2026 World Baseball Classic at hand, the skies have cleared as this afternoon from beautiful Iran Bithorn Stadium, a pivotal matchup in the early going arrives as Colombia, coming off a shutout loss last night against the home team Puerto Rico, has a quick turnaround, set to match up with Canada in Josh Naylor's team's much anticipated 2026 debut. Hi everybody and welcome inside here on Bithorn Stadium alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. Ryan, kind of a tale of two different energies coming into this one. Colombia blanked last night, quick turnaround. Canada first matchup of the tournament.
Yeah, they had that rough fifth inning last night, Tyler, and offensively just nothing doing up against, in my opinion, the most stacked Canadian team we have ever seen.
Canada is the only country to participate in every World Baseball Classic to this point and never advance out of the first round. But this is a different team from Canada teams in years past. They bring a ton of talent, a ton of experience, and a lot of young guys who will be with this program for a long time.
And a lot of these players too, look, this isn't their first time representing Team Canada, but they are completely different. They profile so differently to what they did when they first put on a Canadian uniform. But I think the biggest name here, you miss Freddie Freeman, yes, but the biggest bat has to be Josh Naylor. He is the captain of this team, and you look at what he's done in his major league career, one of the best first basemen, especially too when you're talking about RBIs. One thing about Josh Naylor, he is a complete hitter. He has the stolen base element, and when he put a Seattle Mariners uniform on at that trade deadline, he changed everything. They got back to being the American League West champions. As we look at Josh Naylor here, especially too when you're talking about the power and the 30 stolen bases, which was unbelievable last year for Josh, being a complete hitter. He wears the C on his jersey, and so good to see him lead Team Canada this year in 2026.
And he gets to sign up for this World Baseball Classic along with his brother Bo. They're both in the lineup today, as Bo will get most of the reps as the starting catcher for Canada in this opening group here in 2026. Now on the other side for Colombia, Ryan, last night a lot of early opportunities, but the Colombian offense not able to cash in. They had base runners galore, but didn't get anything across against Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and they had some chances too. Look, it was going to be few and far between against this Puerto Rican team, the home nation. But you go back to the second inning, the fourth inning, they had some traffic. It always ended up, Tyler, to the bottom part of the lineup, and that is where that depth comes into play at the World Baseball Classic for Team Colombia. They've made a ton of changes in their lineup today, but look at that 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Just couldn't take advantage of some of those opportunities.
They will go with another veteran today. Yesterday, able to go to an all-star in Jose Quintana. Today, it's a two-time all-star, Julio Teheran, who has maybe fallen off a little bit in recent seasons, pitching in Mexico last year, but this is the type of guy you want in a bounce-back game.
Yeah, and look, you look at the numbers here. Obviously, 2014, 2016, they were those peak years. Now, you go back to 2017. This was Julio Teheran when he was one of the best pitchers in the big leagues. Opening day started for the Atlanta Braves for so many different years. He dominated Canada, going 5 innings and punching out a bunch of guys. This is a team he's familiar with. Now, he did go to his manager, Jose Mascara, and say, look, I want to face Team Canada. The approach for him is going to be pitching with some of the secondary weapons, the changeup and the breaking ball. He's going to try and force them to have that weak contact. He said, look, they're going to try and pull me in the air. Here, I'm going to try and pitch away from this team, and hopefully he can revive some of that magic we saw back in 2017.
He'll be looking to replicate that performance today. Canada trying to get off on the right note, and Colombia trying to avoid an 0-2 start to Pool A play here in 2026. A big one on a Saturday afternoon from beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico. Starting lineups and first pitch next from the World Baseball Classic.
Julio Teheran shined this afternoon. Fine outing, representing Team Colombia, and that is into center field, base hit. Here comes Polo, and the Colombians take the lead. Team Colombia with its first ever victory in the 2017 World Baseball Classic.
This beautiful game has a way of repeating itself, and for Colombia, hoping that history rhymes today. For Canada, aiming for a different outcome against Julio Teheran. That win from 9 years ago was the first ever in Colombia's WBC history, and today Julio Teheran is back on the mound to take on a star-studded Canada squad. As we welcome you in for first pitch, lineups, all the rest, here on day number 2 of this 2026 World Baseball Classic, the longtime Canadian baseball national team senior men's manager Ernie Witt and his terrific coaching staff getting set for their debut. They had to sit around yesterday and watch some baseball on the early off day here in Group A. But over on the other side in Pool A today, Jose Mosquera and his squad already in last night. And Ryan, today, the energy has to be quick in that dugout to arrive for Colombia. So many missed opportunities last night, and you don't want to drop into that 0-2 hole.
Right, and again, we talked about how important it is that first game, and then you got that quick turnaround. But for this lineup too, look, plenty of changes, especially down the bottom. We looked at that 0 for 10 in runners in scoring position. It always felt, once it got past Gio Urshela, what could the bottom part of this lineup do? And there wasn't a whole lot happening. But Harold Ramirez had a huge night last night, going 3 for 4, carrying that offense. You want to see something from Michael Arroyo at the top of this lineup as well.
Ramirez with half of his team's hit output last night, and that lineup will go against a guy trying to revive himself and be the healthy and dominant starter that we know he can be in Michael Soroka.
Yeah, and look, this is one of my favorite stories of the World Baseball Classic. Michael Soroka, you mentioned the fact that, look, 2019, he was 6th in Cy Young votes, had a 2.68. Absolutely broke onto the scene. Hasn't been the same. Been a lot of injuries we're going to talk about. But look, he has revived himself. That is for sure. The last couple of years, just signed a deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks, going to a place where he feels like it's going to be that comfort level to have that bounce back year. He's changed. The profile of him has changed a little bit. He's more of a four-seam, more of a slurve guy now. Pitched at the top of the strike zone, and here he is representing Team Canada for the first time.
He will get his first look at one of the Seattle Mariners' top prospects in Michael Arroyo, who is set to lead things off here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon from here inside Iran Bithorn Stadium, as Canada and Colombia matching wits for the 3rd time all-time in World Baseball Classic history. These two teams matched up in the 2017 Classic, that 4-1 win for Colombia. And in 2023, Canada bounced back with a 5-0 win as the first pitch from Michael Soroka is in for ball 1, and we are underway here in San Juan.
Hey, I mentioned Michael Arroyo, one of the biggest prospects in the game, getting a chance to face Seth Lugo last night. Edwin Diaz at the end of the game.
Bouncing ball right side, and Arroyo's got his 2nd hit of the World Baseball Classic as he's on to lead things off against Soroka.
And you see that inside-out approach. He wears out right center field, obviously trying to get the ball in the air, but sneaking through against his Canadian defense. You see Denzel Clark, man, some of the catches he made last year in an athletics uniform at center field. But again, look at the defense too, and look at this lineup. Overall, when you look from left to right, star-studded lineup, that and offense and defense for sure.
So Harold Ramirez into the batter's box, fresh off of his hot start to this World Baseball Classic last night. We see the numbers from Dos Laredos in the Mexican League in 2024-25. The Tecolotes, who play in 2 different towns in Laredo on either side of the U.S.-Mexican border, which is the reason behind that name. Ramirez last night, I mean, just really quality plate appearances throughout, Ryan. He had the first hit for his team in the 2nd inning. That was the probably best threat for Colombia. They had runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out in the 2nd, didn't bring anything home. That was kind of a harbinger of things to come for this Colombia offense, as Arroyo's back in on the throw over from Soroka. But you noted, Ryan, this is one of the biggest storylines of this Classic. Michael Soroka, at least in Pool A, just trying to find that form. He had the brutal Achilles injuries in back-to-back years, caused him to miss 2 seasons. He's been dealing with banged up various pitching-related injuries since then, but we just know the ceiling for him can be so high.
And you know what's so tough, too? Look, I talked about him profiling a little bit differently now than what he was in 2019. More of the four-seam as opposed to the sinker. He changed that arm slot. He was more of that up and over the top. He talked about having to make adjustments because it wasn't something that was sustainable. He had to lower that arm slot to create a little bit more freedom with that arm path. But it is so tough too. When you have the kind of numbers he had in 2019, you get so anchored to this is what got me to the big leagues, this is what gives me success, and it's tough to make those adjustments, but man, has he.
Runner off, throw down to second base by Bo Naylor is not going to be in time. A stolen base from Michael Arroyo, and Colombia with something brewing in the first.
I love this too. You see Michael Arroyo, all of a sudden he's watching Soroka, who's trying to get settled in, get that good feel. He's got that leg kick, he's getting pretty predictable, takes advantage, gets himself in scoring position with Ramirez at the plate.
You got to feel like, too, for Colombia, to be able to score one early would be massive after last night. 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 11 on base in a game in which they did not allow a hit outside of the 5th inning. Tapper out in front of the plate. Ramirez was motioning to Arroyo to break for third, but he holds, and one gone.
So Tyler, we talked about some of the changes. He was more of that sinker slider guy when he had that success in 2019. Well, he had to change the arm slot. He had to get into the lab and figure out some things. Now he's more of that four-seam at the top of the strike zone, around 45%, and that slower breaking ball, that slurve. All of a sudden, he went from that tight slider, that 84s, 85s, to 80s, a little bit more movement. And he's settling in nicely, but this is a big chance for him in 2026 to be a comeback, one of those comeback players with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The comeback players are always so easy to pull for, and Michael Soroka earlier this week said, you know, I know everybody thinks of us as a hockey country, but with what the Blue Jays did last year, we're happy to kind of ride that momentum, ride their coattails for a little while, and try to put something special together here at the World Baseball Classic. Canada eyeing its first trip to the second round in Classic history, as this one skips in and off of Naylor, and the wild pitch will spring Arroyo to third. So a man 90 feet away with one down for Colombia, in a big spot here in the first for an offense that scuffled so badly last night.
And look, I know it's the first inning, but we talked about how crucial every inning is in this tournament play. You get 4 games of the four chances to try and get those W's. And right now you can see Michael Soroka needs to take that breath and just get that good feel, because that command's not quite there yet.
1-0 pitch with the infield drawn in, waved at and missed. Reynaldo Rodriguez, who was 0 for 4 last night with a strikeout, his third World Baseball Classic. Third straight WBC for the nation of Colombia. Not participants in 2006 or 2009. Did not qualify for the 2013 event. But they blistered their way through the qualifiers last March, as Rodriguez over to first. Naylor is there. Throw to his brother is in time to get Arroyo. And Colombia continues to sputter with runners in scoring position. Now 0 for 11 through their first 9+ innings at the dish.
Yeah, you can see where Josh Naylor was playing too. If you're Michael Arroyo, the young player, look, I get it. Sometimes, you know, look, it's a situation where you run on contact, but you can see him playing at the cut of the grass. And that's something that you've got to take a glance at on that right side of the infield and say, all right, if they're playing in the way they are, especially on the right side, you know what, I'm probably going to freeze. I'm in scoring position with the heart of the lineup coming up.
So 2 gone and just a man at first now, and you trade the good speed of Arroyo for some heavier legs in Rodriguez, with Donovan Solano at the dish. Solano 0 for 3 last night with a walk.
Tyler, we talked about Soroka just trying to get, I'm sure there's a lot of nerves happening right now, pitcher for Canada for the first time.
Runner off, throw to second base is not going to be, no, is in time to get Rodriguez. Reynaldo Rodriguez waving to the dugout. We will see if Colombia wants to take a look at this, but a caught stealing in the first inning with only 1 appeal might not be worth it. Man, that's a great job by Edouard Julien, the second baseman, to make the catch and tag. This will give us a good look at it.
Well, he may have beat the tag from that angle. No,
they will decline the challenge. So the caught stealing ends the inning. Colombia strands essentially 2 on the bags in the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the first. Canada coming up. Well, the slogan for the 2026 World Baseball Classic is expect everything, but I don't think anybody expected this. Julio Teheran will not make the start today for Colombia. Instead, Austin Bergner gets the nod, and no pregame announcement, wondering if something happened with Teheran pregame today in which he just felt like he couldn't go, and so pushed into a tight spot. Austin Bergner now with his team sort of backs to the wall after day 1. He gets the ball for Jose Mayorga and his team.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something out as this game goes along, but for Bergner, upper levels of the minor leagues with the Texas Rangers, put up some good numbers, shows flashes of stuff, but just not consistent. You can see the fastball there around 90, 92 miles per hour. Can flash at 95 at times. Man. Probably got that late call. Hey, kid, get loose. So I'm curious to see this too. I've been in these situations. If this is a late injury where, you know, Julio Teheran was warming up or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden you got 10 minutes to get moving.
Liner out to second. What a nice grab by Donovan Solano on the hop. One away. Edouard Julien crushed it, but he's out number one.
And here's a look at Ernie Witt's starting 9 for today, not going against the guy they thought they would.
Yeah, and look, this has to be, well, I said they ranked number 1 in Pool A in regards to offense. That is for sure, and a big reason why. If you look at the middle, Josh Naylor, Tyler O'Neill. We had a chance to talk to Tyler a couple of days ago. Talked about some of the swing adjustments he had made with the Baltimore Orioles this season. It's all led by this man right here, Josh Naylor.
So Naylor getting his first look at Bergner. And man, I mean, a tough situation for Jose Mosquera as the manager of this Colombia squad. Jose Mayorga, the manager for Panama. But Mosquera, I mean, you got a guy who you think you're going to be able to lean on, and the second most prolific and accomplished Colombian pitcher of all time, and Julio Teheran, and all of a sudden pregame, you got to make this switch.
And we talked about the 3+ offerings at times, right? So you've seen 88 to 90. There has been flashes throughout his time in the minor leagues with the Rangers where he can get it up to mid-90s on that fastball. He's got that tilt, that over-the-top delivery. But again, tough assignment, man, especially on short notice like this. You can see that the velocity ticks up out of the bullpen. Maybe you can take that bullpen short notice mentality and come out and put up a couple zeros here to kick off Colombia's game 2 against Team Canada.
For Jose Mosquera, you also wonder to what degree did it potentially play into this decision that Austin Bergner has pitched in this ballpark very recently. Pitched his winter ball for the Santurce club that calls this stadium home. 6 games in the Puerto Rican Winter League, made 5 starts, a 3.52 ERA, struck out 29 in 23 innings and walked just 9. Rangers prospect, as Ryan noted, 6 overall seasons in the minor leagues. Bergner kicks and deals, and Naylor is down swinging in his first classic at bat of 2026.
Man, that's a big strikeout. Look, we talked about this with Michael Soroka, trying to get settled in. You come in, you're probably on short notice, as much as we know right now. And then you get Josh Naylor to swing at this changeup down and away. You take that breath. You got 2 outs here in the first inning. Get a clean frame. I think for Team Canada as well, look, you do all this game prep. You think you're going to face Julio Teheran out the gates. You got plenty of time to prep for that. And here you are facing someone you probably don't have a whole lot of video, a whole lot of data, a whole lot of report to go off of.
So here is Popeye, Tyler O'Neill. One of the many nicknames for the muscle-bound and extraordinarily friendly starting right fielder today for Canada. He was, I mean, just bursting to go, and we got a chance to talk to him.
He was intense.
He was so excited to get started today. And, you know, tough for Canada. They sat yesterday, had their first off day. We talked a lot yesterday about Cuba's advantageous schedule. Canada probably has the second most advantageous schedule here in the opening pool. Off yesterday, 2 games, then they're off on Monday and finished with 2 games, Ernie Witt's club. 2-1 count here on O'Neill. Now 3-1. For Austin Bergner, Ryan, you think there was enough time pregame for him to send a text and just say, hey, I'm starting? He's eligible for this Colombia team through his mother, his mom's side of the family. With
well, you talk about
lineage.
To what, mom and dad?
Yeah. Like, hey, turn it on. I'm pitching. 3-1. Grooved in there to put it full. Not exactly the Saturday morning that he woke up anticipating. Yeah, we will effort to get you the story on Julio Teheran when we can. The 3-2 is inside for ball 4 and a 2-out walk for Tyler O'Neill. Take a look at the defensive alignment for Colombia in this one. They played a pretty clean game yesterday, but one crucial miscue in the 5th inning, an error charged to Gio Urshela that helped open the door on that 5-run frame for Puerto Rico. Right,
I went back and obviously Gio just, like we talked about the game speeding up a little bit, right? It started to get loud, they started to get that momentum. But I went back and watched that. It was a tough play, especially on this turf too, the way that ball kind of top spun right below that glove. But I'm not saying that was the difference, but man, when you're on the mound, when you're in that dugout, and you know that these opportunities are going to be few and far between offensively, and you're trying to shut down this Puerto Rican team, man, that was huge last night.
So Tyler Black, the cleanup hitter out of the Milwaukee Brewers organization, the DH today, played 71 games last year. Some rehab time at rookie ball. He was also up at AAA in the Brewers system. 261 hitter with a 779 OPS. Was a top 30 prospect for the Brewers at the end of the season. Not one heading into the 2026 campaign. Just missed that one. This was the error last night for Gio Urshela in that 5-run fifth.
Yeah, and again, tougher play than what it looks because you had a little bit of that top spin. That ball stayed underneath the glove. And there's really nowhere else to go. Look, Gio Urshela a couple years back played above average defense. Last couple of years, his defense has slipped a little bit. We know how solid he can be and how versatile he can be, but tough play. I'm sure he's still thinking about that play.
That was one of those baseball is weird kind of games last night. Puerto Rico barely touched the base paths outside of that 5th inning. In fact, they only had 3 base runners outside of the 5th. They were all walks in the 7th. 5 runs on 5 hits in the 5th. And outside of that inning and the 7th, they sent the minimum to the plate, but they got a 5-0 win over Colombia to open Pool A. Runner off from first as O'Neill breaks, and a flare over to Urshela. Now we'll wrap things up here in the bottom half of 1. Surprise start for Bergner, but he's through the first, spotless.
Michael Soroka faced the minimum in the first, even with the leadoff single and stolen base. And Ryan, this is what we have seen in recent years from him, especially because of the injury issues.
Yeah, and you think about how he burst on the scene. You look at that 2.86 ERA pre-2020, and obviously he had that severe Achilles trying to bounce off the mound in that COVID year in 2020 in August. And man, it has been quite the journey for Michael Soroka to get back to where he's at right now throughout the years. In 2022, then all of a sudden the elbow soreness came about. He had 5 AAA starts, and the success wasn't there too. He was coming back 2023, came back to a 6.4 ERA. And so this was kind of this period in his career where he was trying to find it, dealing with the injuries, some of the mental blocks he talked about. But right now, physically, as he's trying to get settled in, that breaking ball looks good. You go back to, this is what I'm talking about, 2020, man. This is tough to watch. You think about, he was a big-time prospect, had a ton of success, 6th in Cy Young voting, bounces off the mound, has this Achilles injury. And then he re-tears it too, walking into the clubhouse not long after this. So, man, it has been tough. And one thing he talked about too, coming back in 2026 compared to 2025, is just some of the mental aspect of this as well, right? So, yeah, this is what makes it tough. It's the curse of having success right out the gates, because you think you have it figured out, then you deal with these injuries, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're good to come back, and then you're not having the same success, so you have to make some massive adjustments. He's a completely different pitcher. Even that arm slot right now, a little bit lower than what we saw in that video in 2020. Freed him up. Velocity's good. Four-seam.
Just going to say that. The velocity's been really impressive.
Yeah.
That one was 95 right there. He was up to 97 as a reliever last year, but that's been really impressive today. He was almost all the way back from that Achilles tear. He had suffered the initial injury in August of 2025, and then, as you noted, just walking into the clubhouse, completely retore it in June of 2021. Did I say 25? August of 2020 was the original injury. June of 2021 was the re-tear. He needed surgery to repair that as well, so he missed 2 full seasons. The other thing that stands out about that video, obviously it's a crushing injury regardless, but in an empty stadium with the cardboard cutouts, everything that 2020 season felt like, he was one of the loneliest guys in baseball after that injury, as he just misses there for a walk to Gio Urshela, so a one-out base runner.
Again, that's that slurvy, that slower breaking ball compared to what we saw. He had all that success. Still trying to find that pitch. A couple good ones. But the fact he's here pitching for Team Canada too, right? You want to, question if he's all the way back, from a mental standpoint, health standpoint. There's no way he's suiting up for Canada in this he calls it a prove-it year in 2026 when he signed that deal with the D-backs. A place that he feels he's comfortable. He lives in Scottsdale now. There's no way he'd be out here in Puerto Rico pitching if he didn't feel like he was all the way back.
Starts Jesus Mariaga with an 0-1 count. Mariaga, really interesting guy. Not in the lineup yesterday. He has not played affiliated ball since 2019, also in the Diamondbacks organization, but he was the engine behind Colombia's offense in that dominant 3-0 run through the qualifiers in March of last year in Tucson. He hit an even 500 in that event, 6 for 12 with a home run, 3 extra base hits, 7 runs batted in, which were tied for the most runs batted in a qualifier in 2025. Got 3 starts in right field. He wasn't in the lineup yesterday, and that was maybe a little bit surprising just based on what he had done in the qualifier, but I think it's really cool that Jose Mosquera decided we need a spark. You were the guy who provided it for us last year. Let's see what you got today.
Yeah, I mean, it can go both ways, right? And look, we talked about all that energy last night against Puerto Rico, you know, packed house. You anchor on that one inning where it got away from you. Then you have to have that quick turnaround where not as many fans, they call it pressing the panic button maybe a little bit with these drastic off lineup changes.
Grounder from Mariaga over to third. Abraham Toro to second for 1. Mariaga will beat Edouard Julien's throw at the bag, so the fielder's choice keeps a runner on, but now 2 gone.
Yeah, but 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, right? You think about that and you think to yourself, all right, there's a couple sparks here, there's a couple changes I can make. Test that depth a little bit. Put down the line quick, too.
He is not a small guy, but he moves really well. Mariaga listed at 6'2", 226. As he's aboard at first with 2 gone for Daniel De Ojin. Catcher, a late addition to this roster out of Cartagena, member of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. Spent last season at High A Bowling Green with the Hot Rods, 75 games there. His 7th season in the minor leagues. Announced as one of the catching replacements on this roster as Mariaga off at first. Throw to second by Naylor on target. He's cut down 2 of 3 attempted base stealers, and the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Colombia's got a knock, but nothing across. Same with Canada. Scoreless through 1.5 in San Juan. It's time for my favorite explainer, Ryan Rowland-Smith, World Baseball Classic 101. Everyone take your seats. Pool locations for round 1, San Juan, Houston, Tokyo, and Miami. Quarterfinals both in the U.S. How you advance. Top 2 teams out of the opening round will move on to the quarterfinal round. Single elimination from there. We've got pitch count limits. We do have an early termination rule, which has already been put into effect in the early going in this event. Japan laying waste to one of their rivals, Chinese Taipei, yesterday in a big win, 13-0.
Is that your first crack at your favorite?
Yeah, it's my first one for this year.
Read the rules.
But you can ask
I'm over
my
here
wife.
writing notes.
I just stand in front of the mirror and I practice it as though I'm a professor at the front of the classroom. Otto Lopez leads things off for Canada. Otto Lopez, Ryan, I know you speak 2 languages, English and Bogan. Otto Lopez, trilingual, English, Spanish, and French. The Miami Marlins standout, taking part in this World Baseball Classic for his squad, a guy who has put together some really, really good time in the big league so far. Born in the Dominican Republic, but moved to Montreal at the age of 9, retired on a bouncer back to the mound, 1 up and 1 down, over up Abraham Toro. Brian, this is a very important game for both of these teams, as everything is in pool play, but for Colombia, the interesting thing about this is trying to manufacture some energy, because you have the night game to day game turnaround, which obviously is difficult, but this is a completely different feeling ballpark today. There are a good amount of Colombia fans. There's a really good contingent of Canadian fans, but it's not the same crowd as last night, obviously. And we knew, you know, there were 20,018 in the house last night, and probably 20,000 of those, for the most part, were Puerto Rico fans. So how does Colombia do that today? They've already missed some opportunities offensively.
Yeah, it's tough when you look at that first game. You can anchor on some of the missed opportunities or that one inning that got away from you. The fact that Quintana, you were limited with him. We're going to talk more about why Jose Quintana came out a little bit earlier last night for Colombia. That changes how you use that bullpen, all these factors. However, you turn around, get here in the morning, and you want to really get away from rolling out of bed and get yourself ready for a game against Canada, the toughest offensive team. As we see Abraham Toro, nice little double.
Toro dunking that one down in front of Harold Ramirez. That kicked a little bit more toward the foul line than I think Ramirez might have been anticipating. Toro probably able to get the second anyway, but makes it easier for him.
And he gets a fastball to handle. One thing with Abraham Toro, look, last couple of years he's bounced around to different teams, has really struggled with the secondary pitches. But man, if he can get a mistake middle of the plate, something he can handle, man, he can be a dynamic hitter, especially at the bottom of anyone's lineup.
So here is the younger of the Naylor brothers in the lineup today for Canada. And Bo, first pitch swinging, ropes one, fouled on the right field line. Bo Naylor, no stranger to Baseball Canada's national teams. He's taken part in previous World Baseball Classic contests, played in 4 games in 2023, but also played as a member of the junior national team on the U18 Baseball World Cup roster on home soil back in 2017 in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
You see the numbers from 2025, hovering around 200. Best home run season with 14. We've already seen the defense from him to throw in a second. More of a defensive catcher with the Cleveland Guardians. A little bit of family ties. Josh's brother.
Denzel Clark, also part of that group growing up. He credits the Naylor boys for getting him into baseball as Bo sends this one deep down the left field line. Ramirez tracking it, hauls it in. So 2 gone. That'll bring up one of the most prized young talents in all of baseball in the now Miami Marlins outfielder, Owen Casey, traded to the Marlins from the Chicago Cubs in January.
Hey, you know what, too, Tyler? We asked Ernie Witt, the Canadian manager, said, okay, who's that young player that maybe we're not talking about enough? I know, obviously, everyone talks about him a ton in the U.S., and without hesitation, he said, Owen Casey. He is so excited for this kid. You look at the numbers, too. That home run threat. He's got that power. He's got to cut down on some of the swing and miss. He's slowly but surely done that as he's progressed up through the minor leagues, but involved in a big trade to the Miami Marlins. He's going to get a huge chance this year in the NL East.
He is now the 3rd-ranked Marlins prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. And back in 2023, he left the yard in the World Baseball Classic as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, even back then, too, everyone was talking about Owen Casey in Arizona against Great Britain. He's making his way to be those cornerstone pieces for the Miami Marlins.
Swings and can't get a piece there. It's 1-2. Casey, a Futures Game selection last year. He was a member of the All Minor League Baseball Prospect First Team last year and in 2023. Made his big league debut in his hometown of Toronto last August 14th. Did his first big league homer 4 days later for the Cubs. Last year, though, his season came to an end after he made a catch at Wrigley Field on September 13th and ran into the outfield wall. His head collided with the brick through the ivy at Wrigley. He was placed in a concussion protocol, did not return, but he crushes this one high and deep to right. Mariaga back, looking up, and his ball's gone. Owen Casey leaves the yard, and it's a 2-0 lead early for Canada in the second.
Well, Tyler, we talked about the home run, the power potential from Owen Casey. We talked about him cutting down on some of the swings and misses, gets a mistake. Big loop and breaking ball with 2 strikes, middle of the plate. And he doesn't miss.
Oh, you hung the shit out of it.
22 homers last season with the AAA Iowa Cubs in 99 games, and he leaves the yard here as a bunt attempt following for Denzel Clark turns into the final out of the second inning. But Casey stakes Canada to a 2-0 lead as we go to the third. The Miami Marlins #3 prospect Owen Casey putting his stamp on the 2026 World Baseball Classic in his first trip to the plate.
Tyler, this is a hanging breaker ball. We talked about cutting down on some of the swing and miss. Definitely didn't miss that mistake. That was a 100-mile-per-hour exit velo, 403 feet. I guess you can say into the wind, essentially. The wind's kind of blowing across, but he didn't miss it. Didn't wind. Wind or not, man, that ball was crushed.
Austin Bergner placed into this starting role on very, very short notice today for Colombia and avoided damage in the first, but Casey knew he got it. What a feeling, too. I mean, for a guy who did this a few years ago in Arizona, but this team just feels different for Canada.
Right.
And when you're a young guy and you're batting out of the 8th spot in the order and you come through like that, that's incredible.
Yeah, I think too. And going back to that team in 2023, it's different now, offensively especially. I mean, you're looking around, you've got just nothing but established major leaguers up and down this lineup. You've got Josh Naylor, someone you probably look up to as well. You've got Justin Morneau, the hitting coach. Russell Martin's on that staff. And you're essentially that young up-and-comer with some of these players on this team doing big things.
Daniel Beohin, who came in last night as a defensive replacement down the right field line here, skies that one into the screen. Good effort from Edouard Julien, but it'll drop harmlessly, so Beohin will live to fight for another one. Daniel, a member of the Tampa Bay Rays organization, as we noted.
Well, this foul ground's kind of tough to navigate, right? Because it's kind of big. You got the wind as well. You don't really have a warning track. Yeah, obviously first time playing in this ballpark.
That is a really good point. The artificial turf fields now, the track, quote unquote, the warning track is just different colored artificial turf. So it doesn't really serve the purpose of the warning track, which is supposed to be a change in texture under your spikes to let you know you're approaching the wall. But notice yesterday when Nolan Arenado made that over-the-shoulder basket catch on a foul pop-up, he was kind of bracing for the impact in front of the wall, and he had a little bit more space, never ran into the fence. But that is something to be aware of, especially for guys who have, in most cases, never played here before.
That catch was sick, by the way. We didn't give that enough love, I don't think, that catch. That little
and he makes them look so easy. So easy. Beohin to Julien, who stumbles but makes the play. Leadoff man gone. Here's the spacing at this beautiful mid-century modern-esque ballpark. Symmetrical outfield, 325 down the line, 375 to the alleyways, and 404 to dead center. Opened in 1962, 28,008 fans came through the gates yesterday combined between our two contests.
Has that forest green padding we talked about. Is that what it is, forest green?
Yeah, I think
Did we agree on that?
I think I'd give you forest green.
I still haven't. I thought you were going to correct me today with all your other corrections.
Tito
my stats and facts and coming in correcting.
I think forest green would be. See, now we got two different colors of green.
Right.
The outfield padding is sort of one shade of green, but the sponsor boards on the outfield padding a little bit darker green. As this one shot into the gap. Denzel Clark gets to it, but it kicks off his glove. Extra bases for Polo. Flying around second. He'll put the brakes on there, but it's a one-out double for Tito Polo, who was added to this roster very late as a replacement, and now is 2 for 2 in his first two at-bats against Edwin Diaz and Michael Soroka. Welcome to the Classic, Tito Polo.
Well, this one shoots the gap, and Denzel Clark, we talked about how good he has been defensively. They call him misplaying that, but it kind of skips off that turf and again, just unable to glove it. And all of a sudden, Colombia are in business here. Again, runners in scoring position. They were nothing doing last night, 0 for 10.
So with one out, yet again, Colombia has a runner in scoring position. And we will see if this offense can finally do something with it, as Dayan Frias will be the guy to try to break through for his team. Frias 0 for 3 with a walk yesterday. Takes that one for a ball.
And Soroka still, I feel like he's quite settled in. Look, last couple innings, Bo Naylor's thrown out some of these runners, cut the inning down.
Frias drives one out to right. It'll send O'Neill back a few steps. Polo tagging. He will attempt to advance. Good throw from O'Neill, but
Tito Polo is in on the fly out for Frias, and a runner at third with 2 gone for Colombia.
I mean, Tyler O'Neill, that arm strength we know about, that's a factor. And he essentially made that closer than what that was ever going to be.
So back to the top of the order, and Michael Arroyo, who bounced a single through the right side to get this game started for Colombia in the first. But man, Ryan, it just feels like the more opportunities that go by with Colombia not cashing in, the more that frustration builds. And then you wonder in that dugout, I would imagine, if it's ever going to happen for you offensively. Arroyo looking to deliver here in the third.
Well, I think, too, getting to the top part of the lineup was a struggle last night in regards to talking about getting those opportunities. And all of a sudden, it's 7, 8, 9 hitters. Now all of a sudden, you got Michael Arroyo, base hit, his first at bat. Make something happen. And you can see, too, Bo Naylor setting up inside because Michael Arroyo, that approach, he inside outs these pitches, trying to drive that ball into right field. They don't want him to get those hands extended. Again, Soroka, you see the count 2-0, plenty of 2-0 counts, opportunities. A good pitch right there.
The confidence to go off speed there on 2-0, and he fools Arroyo. Michael Arroyo, he is going to be in Seattle in the not too distant future. And that was a big league pitch on a 2-0 count. 2-1, shoots it right side, fair ball. It'll bring in Colombia's first run of the 2026 Classic as the Mariners prospect delivers to bring in Tito Polo, and Colombia cuts the deficit in half. It's 2-1 in the third.
Again, really good piece of hit. And that's his approach, right? We talked about it a lot in the last couple of days, trying to hit that ball into right field. You could see Bo Naylor setting up on the inner half of the plate, leaves it out over the middle of the plate. And Michael Arroyo taking advantage of the fact that Michael Soroka isn't quite settled in, hasn't gotten to that mid-form command away from the middle of the plate.
Nearing 50 pitches now is Soroka here in the third. And Canada's got some work going in the bullpen as Noah Skiro will get his work started for the day. Right side grounder again, and once more Harold Ramirez is on with a base hit, cutting the bag at second. Great hustle from Arroyo, and first and third with 2 gone now. Ramirez with his 4th hit in 6 trips over the first game plus.
Again, another pitch left out over the middle of the plate. This is what Colombia were looking for at times when they had the opportunities last night, trying to get to the top part of the lineup. They can beat you. Harold Ramirez had a big night last night, obviously Michael Arroyo. And Soroka's got that good 95, 96, but again, middle. By the way, Tyler, we saw the bullpen flash up, and you're probably thinking, well, hey, look, he's got 65 pitches, right? But he's approaching that 20 pitch mark. That's kind of that threshold in an inning where you've got to be really careful, especially when you're in quote unquote spring training mode that time of year. So this is something that the Arizona Diamondbacks is like, look, Michael Soroka can go pitch for you, but he is part of he's property of the D-backs. If it gets to some of these restrictions are pitches per inning, as well as the ups and downs as well, in regards to the pitch counts.
And especially with a guy who's been dealing with so many injury issues
100%
in recent years. Soroka, his next pitch will necessitate a mandatory 4 days rest, given the World Baseball Classic pitch restriction guidelines. So Ernie Witt on the right of your screen, Greg Hamilton to his right. Those 2 guys getting the bullpen in motion here in the top half of the third inning.
And you see the 50+ 4 days, so this will be it for Michael Soroka. 30, obviously 30+ just the 1 day. But it's the pitches per inning in this third inning for him.
Big spot from Reynaldo Rodriguez. Tying run down at third. Here in the third. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Rodriguez looking for his first hit of the Classic here in 2026.
Again, man, just glancing down at that dugout from Colombia, things are starting to move, starting to click offensively. Just better swings, just manufacturing that energy after a tough one last night. Day game, noon game, it's hot. Get that heart rate up a little bit. Everyone on the top step of the dugout.
Soroka trying to finish off the top of the third. His 2-2 pitch. Rodriguez staying alive.
Yeah, a little long at bats. Again, too, the fact Bo Naylor was able to throw out a couple base runners early on in this game, save that pitch count a little bit.
Velo certainly isn't going anywhere. 97.2 on the last 2 pitches from Soroka.
On the outside corner, he freezes Rodriguez for a called strike 3. Colombia strands 2 more, but mercifully for that third base dugout, they finally break through for a run. And we'll head to the bottom of the third. Canada's out in front with a 2-1 lead on day 2 of Pool A. New arm into the game for Colombia as we head into the bottom of the third inning, and we flash back to 2023 and one of the most meaningful World Baseball Classic debuts you will ever see. Left-hander Rio Gomez, the son of the late legendary ESPN reporter Pedro Gomez, who fulfilled his father's dream by pitching for Colombia in the World Baseball Classic, a prediction his father had made in 2017. And he goes today against the same opponent that he faced on that day. His mom, Sandra, was in the stands to watch him pitch a scoreless 6th inning in that Colombia loss, 5-0 to Canada. But here he is, pitching last season in Taiwan with the Fubon Guardians in the CPBL.
And he's got that lower arm slot. You mentioned obviously son of Pedro Gomez, but throw strikes has to be in the strike zone. But man, he dominated over in the CPBL. It's not an easy league. Spent a couple months over there. It's a tough, especially offensive league. 6 ERA. Had some time with the Red Sox in the minor leagues.
That is a very bat-heavy league.
Yes.
And small ballparks, the ball travels well. It's not an easy place to go over a pitch.
Right, and the other thing I found too, pitching there for a couple months, was defensively, there wasn't the same arm strength that you used to have, and so anything like backhands on the left side of the infield, no base hits. But yeah, it's definitely an offensive league, that is for sure. So putting up some good numbers. But I love seeing that when you see mom or dad in the seats. I love seeing that when guys are making their major league debut.
2-2 pitch on the way, and Gomez gets a swinging strike 3 from the Colorado Rockies' Edouard Julien. 1 up and 1 down here in the third.
Yeah, that's a tough look. Left on left, you got that lower arm slot. More of that horizontal breaking ball. Looks like it hangs out in the strike zone and then just takes a sharp right turn.
Rio Gomez on the scouting report, of course, noted as the son of Pedro Gomez, but I also have to point out he is the brother of Dante Gomez, who, if you want a small world baseball connection, Dante Gomez is a radio producer in my hometown of Denver, Colorado. He's been my radio producer for basketball broadcasts for the last 5 years or so. Awesome guy. Texted me when I was coming down here and said, "You got to go down and say hi to my brother." Said it'll probably be the first time in his baseball life that anybody has ever said, "Are you Dante's brother?" Sure, Dante is probably tuned in back home. So a big hello to him. Getting to watch his brother work here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Sorry to rub it in because it's 6 inches of snow for Dante and the rest of the people in Denver, Colorado, as Josh Naylor serves one on a snapped, obliterated bat through the right side, and Canada's captain has his first hit of the 2026 Classic.
That works. Punched out his first at bat. First chance wearing the C on his jersey, getting on base. Tell you what though, Josh, one thing he did, especially coming over in that trade from the Mariners, is just handle left-handed pitching.
We do have an update on Julio Teheran, Ryan. Shoulder discomfort during his pregame work today. So that's the reason why Teheran did not make the start. And man, that is the last thing you want to hear for a guy who's 35 and trying to pitch himself back to the form that we saw from him when he was a extremely highly regarded prospect and then climbing to the major leagues, a National League All-Star twice with Atlanta. So certainly sending all the best to Julio Teheran.
Yeah, especially too, you know, this is kind of like your last hurrah, especially in a Colombian uniform. Knowing that could be potentially it.
So Josh Naylor over at first base, and you know, in a contextless view, you might look and think, all right, well, that number 2 guy, he's a bigger fella, he's probably not running. This is one of the most adept base stealers that we have seen in recent memory in baseball.
Yeah, and just listen to the process he went into last year. It was more of a team-first approach stealing some of these bases. By the way, too, I do have to say this, talking to baseball ops when he was a free agent at the end of last year, I asked him, I said, hey, look, do the stolen bases, 30-plus stolen bases, does that help his free agency? And they said no. Like, no, it's not going to. Like, yeah, sure, a bit of a feel-good, team-first kind of, glass half full, sure. But from a data standpoint, no, it was straight. Josh Naylor said, look, I want to put myself in scoring position as much as I possibly can. He watches all these tendencies. When he's on base, he watches it on film. So I guarantee you right now he's picking up that front foot, that back shoulder, that glove, whatever he can see.
Tyler O'Neill swings and drives one out to left field. Harold Ramirez is going to have to play this on a hop. The wind killed it. Ramirez was moving back on that ball, and it dunks down in front of him. So it turns into a one-out single behind Naylor's hit for Tyler O'Neill.
Wow, and again, look, looking at Harold Ramirez out there in left field. This is something, maybe he lost it off the bat, because you're right. And again, too, from our vantage point up here, it looked like that ball was smoked, but the wind was going to kill it, and it certainly did. This could be a break right here for Team Canada as you got middle of this lineup coming up.
So Naylor now in scoring position. When you saw that graphic a moment ago, it's not because of his wheels that he is so good on the base path. That is just an instinctive base runner. And that is something to keep in mind in a situation like this where you're 2 stations away in scoring position, but you can potentially steal a run on something like that very drive right there from Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, one thing, Josh Naylor, just back to the stolen bases, he did steal third base 8 times last year. And right now, look, you can see him at second base, right? So he's putting his hand up, and it looks like he's given the pitch back to Tyler Black. Now, we saw this against the Detroit Tigers last year in the playoffs. And I asked Josh, I said, what was all that about? He goes, I was just messing with the pitcher. I didn't have the pitches at all, just trying to get in the pitcher's head. Look at him.
Wow. Talk about gamesmanship.
Yeah, and it could be, look, it could be, you know what, you might have something. You saw him pointing over to the right. Now, this is stock standard now. Guys are just transparently giving pitches back to the hitter. But I remember asking him right after that game, saying, look, what was all that about? He goes, man, I didn't have anything. I'm just trying to make something happen. You could be giving location away.
Now, here's a question for you. Does he have a conversation with Tyler Black, the rest of the guys in his lineup, to say,
100%.
Hey, I'm not signaling anything actually coming to you, because I don't want to fool you into thinking, all right, look outside, and then they're going to bust you in.
Well, one thing you're noticing right now, too, with Colombia with their catches setting up early, right? So he could be given location in or out. That's one thing. And this is something they talk about before the game. But you see him at the minute Gomez turns around to look at him, that's when he will start flaring it up a little bit more to get in his head. Because I'm telling you, Tyler, there is nothing worse when you feel like that runner at second is giving those pitches back to the hitter. You feel like you are, man, the paranoia goes through the roof and makes it that much tougher to execute that pitch.
Ball and 2-strike count on Tyler Black. Fouls it away. Speaking of guys on this Canada roster who know how to spot pitches, Justin Morneau, who is the hitting coach for this Canada team, came clean with you recently and said,
Yeah.
I can see every breaking pitch you were throwing. I knew everything that was
That's
coming.
right. There he is, Justin Morneau, one of the scariest dudes to face.
Man, good battle here from Tyler Black, who continues to fight on a 2-strike count against Rio Gomez.
Now, like I said too, again, what gives it away is we look at some of the legends here from Joey Votto, Larry Walker, but what gives it away for Josh Naylor is, again, he gets way more animated. Watch, as soon as Gomez turns his head, making sure Gomez can see him, giving it back to the hitter.
Tyler Black, this battle, you saw that graphic a moment ago as you look at another Canadian legend, Russell Martin, who's over coaching first base today. What a great guy he is. We talked to him a couple of days ago. Russell Martin, who took part in World Baseball Classics in years past on the active roster for his team. Bouncer over to first. Rodriguez to the bag at second for 1. That's all that Colombia will get. So it'll be first and third with 2 gone as O'Neill is retired. But Tyler Black, I mean, that was a battle. I was going to point out, Larry Walker atop that list. My all-time favorite ball player, by the way. But a teammate of his for so many years in Colorado, Todd Helton, would get into those modes like Tyler Black was a moment ago, just being able to throw the bat head, slap pitches away that he didn't want to face.
Again, we talked about it's a tough look, left on left. And Tyler Black, one thing he struggled with last year was breaking balls. He could handle the fastball, 25 years old, but the breaking ball was a real struggle, especially left on left. Now Canada's in a good spot right here. You got Otto Lopez coming up. A little bit more of that speed factor. Not a whole lot of power, that's for sure, but that speed. Put the ball in play somewhere and get that third run.
It's going to be a very active day in that bullpen for Colombia today with the early scratch of Julio Teheran. That's Emerson Martinez, the right-hander, who is working now, and that may be the end of the day for Rio Gomez. So some pretty good work from Rio Gomez, who faces 4 men, retires 2. Colombia's going to the pen again here in the third. 3 years ago in a 5-0 win for Canada over Colombia, Otto Lopez was one of the guys to do some major damage for his team. 2 for 5 with 3 runs batted in to lead Canada's offense. He tripled to right off Pedro Garcia, later scored to give Canada a 2-0 lead, and then in the 9th, he put it away with that 3-run blast to left center. Entered 2023 as the 14th ranked Blue Jays prospect, but interestingly, Ryan, he's coming in to face a right-hander. He actually fared better against right-handers last year.
Right, he hit 270 against righties. Lefties, he struggled, hit 197 plus. You got the switch hitter coming up, then you got a couple lefties after that. And not to mention too, look, I've talked about this the last couple of days. Colombia doesn't have the depth in their pitching staff. You've also got Teheran, who's gone down with an injury. So you have to essentially lengthen some of these arms the best you can. You see Mosqueda trying to bring in that right on right. So I'm kind of curious here with this move.
And Lopez is plunked. So the bases are loaded now with 2 gone. You certainly hope Otto Lopez is okay. You see that, you just immediately flash back a couple of days ago to Cheshen Chen, the Chinese Taipei captain who fractured a finger on a hit by pitch facing Australia's Jack O'Loughlin. Lopez being attended to by Canada's staff. Chris Walsh, the athletic trainer for this Baseball Canada squad.
Yeah, and if you're Team Canada in this situation too, again, you got to take advantage of the depth issue with the pitching, right? So this is that moment where it's the 3rd inning. You got loaded bases. I know you got 2 outs. You got to have some of these at bats. Drag them out. Have those good ones. You got Abraham Torres switching around as we get another look. Ooh, off the wrist. Tell you what, the Miami Marlins baseball operations. You don't want to see this. When you send one of your young players, your starting shortstop.
Thankfully, it looks like Lopez will stay in this game. That was the most worrisome thing a couple of nights ago. Goodness gracious, that looks like it's already swelling up on his right hand. But Cheshen Chen getting plunked in that Australia-Chinese Taipei game, I mean, he didn't even make it up the first baseline, just essentially immediately left that contest. Yeah. Thankfully, Otto Lopez appears to be all right. Ernie Witt, his bench coach Greg Hamilton. Ernie Witt, one of the longest tenured guys in the international game. He is a Canadian baseball legend. He's actually born in the United States, from Michigan, but a Blue Jays fan favorite forever, and he has been the pilot of this Baseball Canada senior team for a quarter century now. And hoping his guys can break through in a 2-out bases loaded situation with Abraham Toro at the plate.
Yeah, he can be dangerous too if you get that pitch, that something straight middle of the plate. Just like that.
Good pitch there to
drop that ball into left field, that last at bat.
Levels things at 1-1. Emerson Martinez walking on the high wire here. 1-2.
That's been the issue for Abraham Toro the last couple of years. He's bounced around a few different teams. Just the chase, a lot of chase, a lot of weak contact outside the strike zone. He's in a 1-2 count.
1-2 on the way. A fly ball deep down the right field line, hooking, and that'll go foul. Canada has never had a World Baseball Classic Grand Slam. And Toro was trying to deliver something here, but got good wood on that one. Really good numbers 3 years ago in front of this red heavy contingent on the first base side. 1-2 pitch.
We'll do it again. Toro doubled and scored in the second, came home on Owen Casey's 2-run homer. Pitch, 2-2.
Good at bat right now. All of a sudden getting a nice look at some of these secondary pitches. Keeps coming back to that heater, middle of the plate. 94-95.
Two. Count full. Good block there by Veoheen. And the count goes full with 2 outs. Bases loaded for Canada. Josh Naylor at third base off the single. Tyler Black at second. Behind him, Otto Lopez, the hit batsman, at first. And the biggest pitch of the early innings of this game coming up for Emerson Martinez.
And if you're Abraham Toro, you're going to be sitting here or something, middle up, and attack that pitch. You're going to get something to hit, nowhere to put him. Trying to stay back up the middle.
Full count offering is ball 4, and Canada adds another one. It's 3-1.
Man, that's a good at bat. We talked about Abraham Torres struggling with the chase the last couple of years, plenty of chase outside the strike zone. He's in a 3-2 count, and you're looking for something middle up. You recognize that changeup, able to lay off it, get that RBI.
So a chance now for Bo Naylor.
Takes the first pitch high and wide, ball 1. See the numbers from last season with the Cleveland Guardians.
Naylor's modified his approach at the plate. He's gone from a bigger leg kick to a smaller toe tap, and hoping that helps some timing processes for 2026. Strike 1 evens it. In the air to left, Ramirez tracking it, able to make the grab to retire the side. That'll close things in the third, but Canada adds one and has a 3-1 lead as we go to the fourth. Colombia was unable to get anything done offensively last night, stranding 11 on base. They have been far more aggressive on the base paths today, Ryan, but they have run into 3 outs, including 2 runners caught stealing.
Yeah, and you feel like he got some good jumps. Obviously, Bo Naylor making some good throws on pitch is really tough to get the throw off. But again, this is just, we talked about this last night, 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but then all of a sudden you get a little bit more aggressive on the bases, but you just don't want to run into outs, especially as you see those pitch counts from guys like Soroka jumping up as we see Indigo Diaz in this game.
New arm is the Arizona Diamondbacks right-handed pitching prospect. Spent last season in the Yankees organization. 42 appearances with the AA Somerset Patriots in the Eastern League at 2.58 ERA. 6 overall seasons in the minor leagues, a sub-3 ERA of 2.65. Formerly in the Atlanta system, he was a Braves organizational all-star in 2021, according to MILB.com. There was the top 30 prospect ranking. He was number 20 or number 15 entering the 2022 season.
And you can see why, right? 6'5", 250.
Yeah.
Can get up there in the mid-90s, 97. He's got that good ride on that fastball once he gets to the top part of the strike zone.
Facing a couple of big league bats to get this thing started. Here in his first World Baseball Classic work in 2026. Gio Urshela, who struck out swinging against Michael Soroka in the second, leading things off. Soroka's final line, 3 innings, 4 hits, a run. He struck out 2 and walked 1, 54 pitches, 30 for strikes. One D-backs guy giving way to another as the fastball there at 95 misses just off the plate. Indigo Diaz from North Vancouver, British Columbia. Puts that one outside the zone to put a leadoff base runner aboard.
We talked about the veteran manager of this Baseball Canada squad, Ernie Witt. 12 seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays, an American League All-Star in the mid-1980s. He is the only man who has managed this team in the World Baseball Classic. And I mean, what a great guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the best guys. Just walking up to him in those workouts a couple of days ago. He was the first manager we had a chance to talk to, and came right over to us, and we spent a good 15, 20 just going back and forth. And one thing, though, that stood out to me when he was talking about this team, yes, they're extremely talented, but some of the guys that weren't coming, he was a little disappointed when you found out, whether it be some of the pitchers or some of the offensive players, but definitely the pitchers who, turned the opportunity to come, play for Team Canada. They turned it down. Didn't name names or anything like that, but really hoping to have the full squad in full effect, especially as this tournament, when you're talking North America, guys starting to jump on, obviously with Team USA. But no, what a great guy.
He is the only manager in World Baseball Classic history to have been the skipper of the same team for each of the first 6 Classics. He also managed in the 2004 Olympics for Canada.
Oh, I remember.
In an event in which Ryan Rowland-Smith came home with a silver medal from Athens. Although I think I asked you in 2023 where your silver medal was. You said, I don't know. No, it's back home.
I did not say that at all.
Swing and a miss there from the 2-hole hitter here in inning number 4. Gio Urshela gone on strikes.
Yeah, I'll try and sneak this story in for you. So when you get, you get up on the podium, you get the silver medal. It was epic, right? And you also got the wreath. We're in Athens, right. So you get the wreath. It was like the real deal. Like, we're in Athens,
That's
Greece.
Cool. What is that, an olive
amazing.
Branch? What's the tree they use for that?
Don't ask me that, please. But anyway, so a lot of us had to go back and get back to affiliated baseball, right? So we're all on the same flight, fly back we're going through customs. I think it was at Newark Airport, I believe. Not to throw them under the bus. We get to customs. Well, it's a plant, right? So you're going through quarantine. And they're all like, customs agents are checking out the medals. But hey, by the way, you have to declare that plant around your head. Because we've got them on our heads.
Oh, man.
And some of the guys snuck. I didn't want to put it in my bag and get it all squished. Yeah. Some of them had it in the bag. So the guys who got it through customs were able to preserve it, and they've got it framed up. I lost it at customs.
Oh,
what
a bummer. There's somebody who worked at the Newark Airport in 2004 who has that on their wall now.
Probably,
you know that. I don't know, some baseball player gave it to me.
But it was, obviously it kept the medal, don't get me wrong, but I was begging them. I remember standing there like, oh, no, sorry, can't do it.
Oh, what a bummer.
And everyone who went back to Australia, now Australia, as you know, is very strict on quarantine. They all got to keep theirs, preserve them, got them framed up. And so every time I look at my medal it sits in the top drawer next to the bed. No, it doesn't. I'm kidding.
I look at it every night before I go to sleep.
I wish I had the wreath.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Mariaga.
Anyway, not bitter or anything, but yeah.
That's a bummer, though.
It was.
What really a cool keep, because they don't do that for every Olympics.
Nah,
that was an Athens-specific thing.
Exactly. It was so cool. Now, I put that thing on my head. I didn't take it off for 3 days, even on the plane.
Anybody who is tuned in from the 2004 Athens Olympic Committee, if you have any laying around anywhere that you could ship to Ryan Rowland-Smith, courtesy of the Seattle Mariners, T-Mobile Park, Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, just a couple decades later, surely someone's got one laying around.
Jesus Mariaga, who was caught stealing to end the 2nd inning, trying to find his way on from a full count here in the 4th. 3-2, and a swing and a miss. 2nd straight strikeout for Indigo Diaz. This is a big year for Canada, obviously because of the quality of the roster, but also because they do not have the United States in their group. It's the first time in World Baseball Classic history that Canada will not face the U.S. in pool play. So the road is open for this team to move on past the first round for the first time. But those matchups, though they have been difficult for Canada more often than not, they're 1-4 against the U.S. We did ask Ernie Witt the other day, what are some of your best memories of that 2006 Classic? And he said the win over the Americans, obviously.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The only team that hasn't gone on to the next round, especially with some of the names, too, we've seen. Yeah. We're in the Maple Leaf throughout the last couple of years, especially as this tournament has grown. We had a huge chance here in Pool A.
Daniel Beohin, 0 for 1, led off with a ground out last inning for Colombia.
I tell you what, though, this Colombian team, I know we showed some of the base running, trying to be more aggressive, but I'm going to say, especially against Michael Soroka and now against Diaz, some of the at-bats have been really good. They're definitely not out of this. You feel like it's all Canada right now?
De Ojeda in the air, playable. This might even stay in fair territory with the wind. It's going to. As over there to make the grab, Abraham Toro puts it away, and that retires the side in the fourth. We're going to the bottom of the fourth inning. Canada's got a 3-1 lead.
The early offensive highlight on day number 2 of the World Baseball Classic and game number 1 for Canada is this 2-run blast from Owen Casey in the second. Man, he did not hit a cheap one.
No, hanging breaking ball, jumped all over. This was with 2 strikes as well. He said 100 on the exit velo, 400 plus feet. You look at the scouting report too. Look, MLB ready. He's got that 30 plus potential. He's got that raw power. He's trying to cut down on that swing and miss. It's gotten better and better over the last couple of years.
He goes to work here against Emerson Martinez.
How about you come to a game in Puerto Rico, you got the Maple Leaf flag, you're hanging out in right field, and Owen Casey just like used that flag as a target. Here you go, fellas. Nice souvenir for you. Pretty awesome Saturday afternoon for a couple of happy Canadian fans. Their team on top, 3-1. Good work too. Kind of used the flag as a little protective shield. That's awesome though. On the phone right now. Yeah, we caught it in the flag. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Owen Casey. Last year, those numbers from the Cubs organization, 937 OPS for AAA Iowa. Casey down swinging here. Leadoff out for Emerson Martinez.
That's a change up middle of the plate. With that good arm speed again. We've got some of that swing and miss from Owen Casey.
So it brings up Denzel Clark. Tried to bunt his way on in his first trip to the plate. Swings and comes up empty there. It's no balls and a strike. It is something of a miracle, Ryan, that we have made it into the bottom of the 4th inning, and I have not yet made a reference to my new favorite TV show, Shoresy, which is a Canadian masterpiece, as Clark bounces this one to third, and he's gone. But to borrow a Shoresy idea, that homer really set the tone early on as Denzel Clark, though he is over to a defensive wizard. He is the new Spider-Man in Major League Baseball.
I love it. I love watching this man play center field for the Athletics. Look at this. Unbelievable.
That was the play of the year in Major League Baseball last season in the 2025 MLB Awards, June 9th at Angel Stadium. Denzel Clark was limited to 45 games last year, but otherwise, I mean, you got to figure he's the guy to play his way to a Gold Glove. But you look at those numbers, he ranked 5th among all outfielders in the big leagues in outs above average, and he played essentially a quarter of a season.
Right.
That is incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing when you look at that number. Obviously, the people that are surrounding him on that list, it's just a matter of that offense. Can that offense be something where that speed element, that athletic element, a little bit more contact, further up that lineup, but that young athletics team, yeah, man, he is so fun to watch in center field.
0-2 count. Back at the top of the order on Edouard Julien, and he has gone on strikes for the final out of the 4th inning. Canada retired in order for the first time today. We'll go to the 5th. They've got a 3-1 lead.
3 years ago, a 24-year-old Noah Skiro made his Team Canada debut with 5 shutout innings against none other than Team Colombia. In Phoenix, Arizona, final line got the win. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. 58 pitches, all he needed to get through 5 in that 5-0 victory for Canada over Colombia. Victory kept the hopes alive for Canada to move on to the quarterfinal. They were 2-1 in pool play at that point. Did not end up advancing out of the first round, but still a WBC highlight for Noah Skiro. And he is on in relief as we move this game into the top half of the 5th inning. Back at Estadio Iram Bithorn here in San Juan, Puerto Rico, alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. Tito Polo leading things off for Colombia here in the 5th. He's 2 for his first 2 in the Classic. Double and run in the 3rd, the first run of the tournament for Colombia.
after being blanked last night in their second World Baseball Classic shutout loss, that first one being to Skiro and Canada back in 2023. Yeah, Tito Polo, how about his start? Comes in last night as a pinch hitter.
Right.
Singles off of Edwin Diaz. Gets the start today. Double to get it going against Michael Soroka. Now he lifts this one out to left field, and if not for the wind, I think that thing gets
100%.
out of here. And instead, it's out number one.
Man, to push that ball, this wind is, it's blowing, you know, left to right, I guess, but the wind's howling in to get that ball, get that kind of carry all the way to the warning track.
And talking with people who watch games at this ballpark a lot, that is the common way that this field plays. It's tough on right-handed hitters to pull anything out of here. Which again, the further we are removed from Yoan Moncada's two-run homer yesterday for Cuba, the more you admire that shot, because he crushed that out of here to left, but it is not easy to get it out into that wind, as Dayan Frias bats here with one gone and the base is empty. Skiro, an interesting story in his baseball journey. Played 3 years at Liberty University in the U.S. state of Virginia, as Frias bounces this one out to second. Great job rounding the ball by Julian, who gets it to first in time. However, Colombia's first base coach, Jaime Del Valle, pointing to the dugout, and they may want to look at this.
Yeah, we're going to get another look at it right here with Julian. Took a little bit of time on the transfer. Double pumps. See if that throw beat the foot.
Will not elect to challenge that. So 2 gone to get things started here in the 5th. That'll send us back to the top of the order. And Michael Arroyo. Man, for an offense that's desperate for base runners and runs, you sort of have to be mindful of the fact that you're not going to get more than one challenge if you're unsuccessful, but you got to get those base runners if you can.
Yeah, for sure. And just keep in mind too, for Team Colombia,
rounder out to short. Got to make quick work of this Colombia offense. 6-3 put out wraps up the 5th. Noah Skiro 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the bottom of 5. It's a 2-run lead for Canada.
We want to send our best wishes along to Buck Martinez, the legendary longtime broadcast voice of the Toronto Blue Jays, also former manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, announced his retirement last month. In 2006, in some World Baseball Classic trivia, he was the manager for the first ever Team USA in the inaugural World Baseball Classic, a broadcaster for a number of these events, and one of those guys, Ryan, you know pretty well, you never hear anything but the absolute best about Buck Martinez.
Absolutely. Best wishes to Buck Martinez. And Tyler, you know, when I was playing in the 2017 World Baseball Classic, I was slowly trying to break into this role, this broadcasting role. It's not that easy. And I remember cornering him in the hotel, the team hotel. He was staying there as well in Japan. I said, Buck, how you doing? I just want to introduce myself. I said, I really want to get into what you're doing. And I'm thinking to myself, he doesn't know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't got time for this. And he said, hey, let's spend some time talking about it. And he just laid it out for me. It was amazing. And then a couple of years later, there I am. The Blue Jays came to town, and I'm like, I don't know if you remember this. He goes, of course. And we sat down and just, you know, went through it. So it meant a lot to me, and just kind of gave me that confidence early on in my broadcasting career. And man, what a great guy, man. Every time I see him, it's just so good to, you know, chop it up with him, with what's happening, with everything he's up to. So best wishes to Buck.
That is such a cool story, as we got a new arm into the game for Colombia here in the bottom half of the 5th inning to face Josh Naylor. It is Elkin Alcala who takes over. Alcala pitching for the Pericos de Puebla in the Mexican League. Not the greatest of numbers in 19 games, but a really lively arm.
And he got released in July last year in Mexico, so this is a big platform for him. Get some scouts' eyes on him wherever he's going to end up next, but facing Josh Naylor, just signed a 5-year deal with the Seattle Mariners. The people in Seattle very happy about that.
0-2 pitch on the way from Alcala is up and away.
Myself included.
I mean, that is a big, he just reshaped everything about the energy for some M's fans who were down here in San Juan.
He really did.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Talking to Bobby Magallanes, who's the hitting coach for Team Mexico, and I said, tell me more about Josh, man, off the field. Like, give me the real take.
Naylor skies one right side. Rodriguez and Solano. Rodriguez makes the play.
Because you know how it goes, right? Like, we get a chance to cover him. He was very sort of, standoffish when he first got to the Seattle Mariners, and a lot of people, asking, is he going to be the guy in the clubhouse? And talking to Bobby Magallanes, early this year, I did a Mariners fantasy camp with Mags, and I said, hey, give me more on Josh, man. Like, and he just unleashed on all the behind-the-scenes stories of what he did for some of the young players, during those playoffs, what he meant to the team, besides obviously all the offense. And he quickly signed too. He was off the free agent board quickly with the Mariners. It was a, yep, I want to come back here. We want you back. Shake hands. Let's do it.
You said you did a media panel sort of thing with him with some fans recently as well, and you guys kind of broke through, started joking around together, and so you'll see a ton of Josh Naylor this season with the Mariners. One of those impact guys for a team looking to repeat in the American League West here in 2026, as Tyler O'Neill over in the American League East is going to try to do a lot of this for the Baltimore Orioles as he clubs one to left, but man, again, just buffeted by the wind, and that ball dies. Tyler O'Neill crushed that thing, and it didn't even make it to the track as Ramirez pulls it in.
Yeah, got that good swing off too, but I think when you launch a ball, when you get a ball up in the air, you loft that a little higher, that wind is just going to absolutely kill it.
Yeah, I just want to go back to Buck Martinez, and you never start things with 2 outs, but I'm going to try to squeeze it in as the cleanup hitter, Tyler Black, is into the box, takes ball 1. Buck Martinez, I haven't met him. I don't have the personal connection that you do, but I feel like I speak for a lot of kids from my generation. Buck Martinez was a video game voice in the 90s and 2000s for triple play baseball, and that was really important to a lot of us learning the game. He, alongside Jim Hewson, a Canadian broadcaster, they were so entertaining on those games. I remember there was a cheat code you could put in for AAA baseball, I think on the original PlayStation, where Jim Hewson would say, spin us a yarn there, Buck. And then Buck Martinez would go into a baseball story, either a historic story, or he would I still remember Buck Martinez explaining the origin of the term can of corn for a pop-up. And I mean, those are important things, and they tie you to this game in a way that makes you feel like it's interactive, you're part of it, and you're learning alongside. I never met Buck Martinez, but that's a guy that I have known my entire baseball fandom since I was a kid because of that. And that's an important impact to have had on a generation of kids and fans. 2-1 fouled. I may use spin us a yarn there, Ryan, at some point.
But you're right, man. A lot of kids who are connected to the game, they play maybe travel ball or little league, whatever, but they get connected to the players via the video game. MLB The Show is the big one now. And they learn all the players, they learn all their attributes through the video game. It's a good point. Do you remember the cheat code or what? Up, down, left, A?
I think it was like R1, R2, L1, L2, something, Like it was one of those. I do remember it was a lot of buttons.
I remember the Mortal Kombat ones, but I don't remember the AAA ones.
Ground ball right side. Tyler Black is retired. Buck Martinez, a former member of the Santurce team here in Puerto Rico. We're wishing him all the best. 3-1 going to the 6th in San Juan.
Welcome back to the 2026 World Baseball Classic from stunning San Juan, Puerto Rico, with former Major Leaguer and 2-time Team Australia WBC pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. I am Tyler Maughan here on Bithorn Stadium for our continuing coverage of Pool A. And Ryan, Day 2 for Colombia. This may be the biggest moment for this team because they've retired 7 straight on the mound and in the field. They've got 2, 3, 4 coming to the plate. They have not had a lot of offense. As you can see, at some point, these bats have got to arrive for Colombia.
Right, we talked about some of the at-bats being a little bit better, not cutting down on some of the chase. We're getting a little deeper into that bullpen from Team Canada, but you got 2, 3, and 4. Harold Ramirez has looked really good already these first couple of games. You mentioned yesterday trying to showcase for a team in Japan or Korea.
2-0 pitch there for a strike to him. Second inning of work for Noah Skiro. Ramirez, 4 for his first 6 here in the Classic. I mean, this is the guy you want starting things if you're Jose Mosquera. Might not be able to here in the 6th as the bouncer is in time to beat him.
And on the Canadian side too, that's a big out, right? You're getting into that business end of the game, of the game, the 7th, 8th, 9th. You can start to stack up that back end of the bullpen, knocking off Team Canada. Try and bridge that gap. So that's a big out as we're approaching the middle part of this lineup for Colombia.
The frustration obviously has to be there in that third base dugout. Granted, the teams are wildly different, but this is an offense that in the qualifiers last year outscored its opponents 23-1. Now, yet again, granted, this is not China, Germany, and Brazil. These are really, really big league level pitching staffs, but there have been the opportunities. It's just that the key hits have not come.
Yeah. Again, we've seen a couple close plays, and I was trying to get this out before those the third out of the inning, but you see in Colombia, there's a couple times there which completely could have changed the inning if they decide to challenge.
Rodriguez out to Otto Lopez. Not in time to beat him. Great hustle up the line from Reynaldo Rodriguez. So, one out base runner.
Yeah, Rodriguez passing out of the box. Otto Lopez a little how do you get into this ball, getting that throw off. But we're just back to the challenge system, right? So we see in the big leagues, teams, they challenge at the appropriate time, where it's a situation where it's, it makes total sense. Why? Because they have someone behind the scenes.
We are going to get a challenge on this one as Ernie Witt will try to erase the one out base hit. So explain that more.
Yeah, so I think what you got to understand here too, look, I don't know if Colombia has a video guy in the back that has the same amount of angles and resources, and it looks like this is going to be out. A good time to challenge, but you don't get the same amount of looks, the same camera angles. You're probably just going off the same feed that you're watching at home, and that's what you're relying on. So you're not going to be as heavy on the challenges, and that turn's going to be that play's going to be overturned.
So instead of a one-out, legged out infield single for Reynaldo Rodriguez, it's now 2 gone, bases empty. And it'll fall to Donovan Solano. I mean, you're right in striking distance. It's a 2-run game, but for Colombia right now, it's just got to feel like there is nothing you can do in these moments to get something sparked offensively. So 2 gone for Donovan Solano. Noah Skiro trying to work his second straight 1-2-3 inning. Deals a first pitch strike. Skiro last season pitched in the Atlantic League in independent baseball. 25 games, a 15-3 record, a 3.99 ERA. He was the 2025 Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year with Lancaster. Actually, I believe that one is Lancaster in Pennsylvania, not to be confused with Lancaster, California, or Lancaster County in Nebraska. There's a right-hander, Zavaleta, throwing in Colombia's bullpen. Bounces that one into Solano. 2-2 on the veteran, who's 0 for 1 today with a walk, 0 for 4 with 2 walks over his first game and a half here in San Juan. Skiro did have some time in affiliated ball with the Phillies organization. Working in his second straight classic here. 2-2 to Solano, and a shot toward right center. That's going to get down for a base hit. So Donovan Solano has the first hit for Colombia since the 3rd inning. And a 2-out knock puts him on. We talked about the success in the qualifiers. It has been largely driven by the offense, and those bats just have not been able to generate the same level of execution in the main tournament.
Yeah, it's so tough to compare to. I mean, different level of pitching, obviously. Colombia not taking anything away from their offense, but when you're in those qualifiers, you're going to run into some guys that you can absolutely manhandle. Compared to this tournament here, especially in Pool A, you got Michael Soroka. You got these quality arms, these mid to upper 90s fastballs, that good ride, completely different.
Gio Urshela trying to help move along a 2-out rally for Colombia in the 6th. Gio today 0 for 1 with a walk, 1 for 1 with a pair of walks and a sac bunt yesterday. Nervous times for Colombia fans sitting on that third base side.
1-1. Urshela tapper foul. And the count goes in favor of Skiro at 1-2. Jesus Mariaga, the breakout star of the qualifier last March, waiting on deck, hoping it'll get to him. With his team trailing by 2. Solano at first. 1-2 count on Urshela. Able to fight that off to stay alive and see another one. Skiro sets. Another 1-2. Another foul ball.
This was the qualifier for Mariaga last year. There are no MVPs in the qualifiers, but if there were, Mariaga would have been the dude. 6 for 12, a home run, 7 runs batted in for Mariaga, 3 extra base hits, half of his 6-hit output. Had a 2-run homer against China, a triple against Germany, an RBI double against Brazil. And he would love to try to replicate some of that success here today for Colombia.
He wasn't in the lineup yesterday. Making his 2026 debut today.
One-two. Urshela unable to hold up, and he is gone on strikes for the final out of the 6th.
We'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Canada out in front by a pair.
Liner, base hit. Canada gets the run in. Noah Skiro has been outstanding for Canada. That ball's gone! 3-run shot. Oh, Canada over Robson. There it is. He's got it, and Canada wins it.
And that Rich Waltz call, Noah Skiro has been outstanding for Canada. You could just apply that to this game as well. Skiro has been great so far through a couple of innings of work on the mound for Canada. But on the other side for Colombia, it'll be Ezequiel Zabaleta who comes on in relief as the latest arm out of Colombia's bullpen. He was a late addition to this roster after Tyron Guerrero was unable to play in the World Baseball Classic. One of the most electric arms and one of the big inning guys that Jose Mosquera and his staff were counting on. No Guerrero, so Zabaleta will get the ball here and try to hold the line at a 2-run deficit for his squad, Colombia.
I tell you what, Mosquera's been manager for Colombia has been handcuffed with some of this pitching. Even going back to Jose Quintana last night, who, you know, felt like it was kind of last minute where he had these restrictions. The Rockies said, look, he can't throw many more pitches than what, 30, 31 pitches. A lot of that due to the fact he signed late with the Rockies. Then obviously he had Julio Teheran with the shoulder injury. As he was warming up coming into this game, he had to readjust. Missing some of these big arms too months before the tournament.
Big hack and miss there from Otto Lopez, who chases one up high. He's gone on strikes. It's not just Tyron Guerrero who is not part of this bullpen for Colombia, but River San Martin as well. So some key late inning arms potentially, but good stuff the first AB for Zabaleta.
Zabaleta hasn't played affiliated baseball since 2021, was in the Atlantic League 22 and 23, and the Mexican League in 2023. See that high 3/4 arm slot, low 90s, already seeing a couple 93s. Look at that last pitch in affiliated baseball 5 years ago.
Abraham Toro, who's been aboard both times, he has been to the plate today. Double and a run scored in the 2nd, and a bases loaded walk in the 3rd. Big cut and miss.
Had that really good at bat last time, forcing in that run. Had that 3-2 changeup, was able to lay off.
Zabaleta's 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Not only has it been a while since he's pitched in affiliated baseball, he also did not pitch in the Colombian Winter League this past season. 2 seasons ago, he did pitch with the Caimanes de Barranquilla, which is the squad that his manager, Jose Mosquera, has managed and is now the GM for in Barranquilla. As a fly ball out into right will send Mariaga back. Now coming in to make the grab. 2 away. Put up really good numbers for them 2 seasons ago. 17 games in relief, a 1.50 ERA, struck out 18 in 18 innings with the Caimanes. And Mosquera trusting the 30-year-old to keep this thing as close as possible. Bolivar, Colombia native, working here against Bo Naylor with 2 gone.
Tyler, I mean, it's 3-1, right? This game is so within reach for Team Colombia. It just feels like there's just nothing doing, especially as this game moves on. Obviously, they had that threat early on in this game. Had some base runners, and Rodriguez had a big strikeout in the 3rd inning. Ran out of the plate in the 1st inning as well. But I mean, look at this on the flip side too. Canada, they had that big 3rd inning with Toro walking in the run. Beyond that, it's been pretty quiet.
Colombia is actually out hitting Canada in this game 5-4, but they've only got 1 hit since the 3rd. Tense times in that 3rd base dugout. 1-1 roped right side, lunging grab, Donovan Solano, and a 4-3 putout wraps things up in the 6th. A big league play from a big league glove. It takes us to the 7th in a 3-1 game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. The first time that Colombia qualified for the World Baseball Classic, it was actually on Panamanian soil in Panama City at Estadio Rod Carew. Colombia will face off with Panama in a rematch of that game coming up on Monday. They will be the early contest on Monday. Jesus Mariaga was the offensive hero for his team in the qualifier. Just efforting to get anything going for this offense here in the 7th inning. A run on 5 hits combined so far. 1 run on 11 hits through the first 15 offensive innings for Colombia. And time is getting short here on this Saturday afternoon. Good pitch there, right over the outside corner of the plate. Hums in at 94 from Skiro. Here's what's coming up tonight. Our main dish on night number 2, Panama and Puerto Rico. 6 o'clock Eastern time start over on FS1. 7 o'clock here local time. As Mariaga goes down swinging. By tomorrow, by the way, we'll all be back on the same time zone. If you're an Eastern time person, there is no daylight savings time in Puerto Rico. So as you jump ahead, you'll join us 1 hour further ahead. So it'll be 7 o'clock start times beginning tomorrow night. Great challenge pitch there from Noah Skiro. His 2nd strikeout. First pitch swinging at Daniel Beohin, who was 0 for 2 today. Chops one foul. A 1, similar direction. That one will stay fair. 2 gone. Beohin thought it was a foul ball, but our first base umpire, Laz Diaz, the big league veteran, right on top of it.
I'll tell you what, Skiro is just absolutely rocking this Colombian team to sleep. We talked about trying to just generate some kind of offense. He felt like they had something in those first couple of innings, a couple of big chances. And now it's just been just straight shutdown mode.
You know what I love about Josh Naylor? You saw a second ago, he's got that tattoo on the right biceps of the Baseball Canada logo.
Love it.
Got it on the hat, got it on the inside of the right arm as well, if you want to know what this means to him and his family. Not just his brother Bo behind the plate, but their cousin, Denzel Clark, out in center field. And Miles Naylor, a 3rd brother taken by the A's in the competitive balance round of the 2023 draft. How about that, man? 3 brothers playing professional baseball.
Wow.
I mean, that is such a rarity. The only family that I have been aware of in my baseball career to surpass that is this one. Skied out to center. Clark on the run, onto the warning track, will pull it in. And Tito Polo gave it a ride, but he's retired as Colombia goes down in order again. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Stretch time. Canada's out in front, 3-1.
Ton of family connections in Pool A of this 2026 World Baseball Classic. We got a pair of brothers in Josh and Bo Naylor. That one hangs above the mantle. Paul and Cal Quantrill. Cal will pitch in this World Baseball Classic. The Donovan Solano connection with his brother. And then tonight in the nightcap, an uncle and a nephew, Matthew Lugo, Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, Tyler, you're talking about Bo Naylor trying to make some of those swing adjustments. I was just picturing, you mentioned the younger brother Miles too, how the hitting cage goes. You know what I'm saying? If he's making an adjustment, how much input is Josh Naylor putting into that in regards to changing that leg kick? You see Japson Gomez. Saw him last night, 10 pitches, just the 1 inning.
In case you're wondering about Jonathan Solano's role with this Colombia team, by the way, he's the bench coach on Jose Mosquera's staff, with his brother Donovan in the starting lineup today and out at second base. Owen Casey leading things off. Canada has not had a multi-homer game from a player in the World Baseball Classic, as Casey crushed that 2-run shot back in the 2nd inning.
Tyler, I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Love it.
We talked to Ernie Witt the other day about why is there so many left-handed hitters from Canada. And you had your little tinfoil conspiracy theory.
I did, and I will say, I will credit this conspiracy theory to Edouard Julien, as Casey swings and is gone on strikes here for the leadoff out in the 7th inning. That is now 11 straight retired, by the way, by Colombia's pitching staff, as Japson Gomez has his first. I read a story in which Edouard Julien talked about playing hockey growing up, and, you know, we talked to Ernie Wood about this. He said, yeah, it's Canada. Guys are born with skates on. And Julien said, you know, as a hockey player, you grab the stick with your right hand if you're right-handed in a lot of cases, and that's how you learn how to play hockey. So it's sort of a left-handed shot. He said that is a transition to baseball in which your top hand as a hitter is the right hand if you are a right-handed batter, but if you're controlling things with your right hand as the bottom hand on a bat, you're a left-handed swinger. As that one's kicked out in right field by Mariaga, and Denzel Clark is into scoring position. A big potential miscue here in the 7th. With 1 gone, it remains just 1 gone, and Canada a chance to add to this lead.
Man, that could be huge, and credit Denzel Clark as well. Hammering around the bases to get into scoring position. He could have easily just pulled up on this. This is using Buck Martinez, can of corn. They're able to get into scoring position. You can see Japson Gomez, one of the most animated plays you'll ever see. Keep it in his reaction.
And that would have been a 12th straight retired batter by Colombia's pitching staff, and instead a 1-out base runner in scoring position. But yeah, so if you are a right-handed shooter in hockey and you got the bottom hand as your right hand, bottom hand as your right hand swinging a baseball bat, gives you a left-handed swing. I don't know, I'm a goalie. So is Michael Soroka, by the way. I got to go talk shop with Michael Soroka. I'm a beer league goalie. I got to get some tips from Soroka.
So to get this, just to clear this up, because I know Canadians who right now are listening to this thinking, who is this Australian talking hockey right now? But, so you're telling me if I'm right-handed, the left hand goes down further down the stick. Is that what you're saying?
If you are right-handed, no.
No, okay.
Left hand is up at the butt of the stick.
Gotcha,
right hand is down on the stick.
God, how mad did I just make all of Canada asking that question?
What is this guy talking about? Man, oh man. But I got to find this story now from Edouard Julien and his quote. This is a question from Jerry Krasnick, by the way. As you look at Julien and his work against lefties and righties in his career,
Jerry Krasnick asked him, you know, Canada's produced some great left-handed hitters, Larry Walker, Joey Votto, Justin Morneau. Edouard Julien's father was his coach when he was a young hitter, and so he asked Julien, what lessons did you learn from your father? As a one-out walk here for Julien, who was aboard at first. This is the quote. He said, we have a lot of good lefty hitters in Canada. When we pick up a hockey stick, we put our right hand on top because we're mostly right-handed, so it's just natural for us to swing lefty. So the right hand is further down the stick. He said, I started playing at 4 or 5 years old. My dad put a bat in my hands, and he would always tell me to just whip the bat and swing hard.
Interesting.
And man, it's worked for Edouard Julien as we got a visit to the pitcher's mound from Colombia's pitching coach, Dayan Diaz. And this is a tight spot right now for Colombia, just trying to keep this thing at a 2-run game here in the 7th.
Yeah, we saw those numbers for Julien against lefties too. That was a good at bat. Look, 3-1. Your eyes light up, able to just to have that plate discipline. Create some traffic right now after that mishap out there in the outfield. Also, too, Denzel Clark, you'd be surprised right here if he takes off. There's a double steal, get 2 runners in scoring positions. We're starting to see the meat of this lineup. You can see Denzel Clark out there at second, jumping off, and Japson Gomez being a little bit more predictable with his timings to home.
Monster spot. Monster spot. With an offense that has struggled this much, you cannot yield here if you're Japson Gomez.
Right. I'll tell you what, man, this is a tough part. This is where you can blow this game wide open, build that lead.
Those dangerous spots in the order coming up as Naylor fouls away the first pitch from Gomez. It's 0-1. Clark with terrific speed out at second. Julien the same at first. Naylor finds an alleyway here. Canada can break this game open, and we know Josh Naylor is capable of far more than just finding an alleyway. And he bounces one back up the middle. That'll sneak through into center field. It's an RBI knock for the Seattle Mariners star Naylor as Clark, his cousin, scores, and Canada adds one. It's 4-1. Julien into third. Runners at the corners.
Again, just handling lefties so well. Josh Naylor, we saw this so many times last year where that ball sneaked through in a big spot. Runners in scoring position. He did so much damage, especially when they tried to match up. Just staying right back up the middle. Didn't try and do a whole lot with that pitch. And you see that speed. Denzel Clark, no chance. He's going to go home easily.
And that's going to do it for Japson Gomez. So Gomez faces 4 hitters, strikeout, and the error proves so crucial before the walk and the single. 4-1 pitching change here in the 7th. There's one guy in this Canada lineup that you do not want facing a left-handed pitcher. It is Tyler O'Neill, the hulking right fielder who will step into the batter's box out of the 3 spot for Canada. So with that in mind, Jose Mosqueda has gone to the bullpen here and summoned Guillermo Zuniga. Zuniga with a couple of stops last season at the AAA level. Going to work here against O'Neill with runners at the corners and his team hanging by a thread in a 4-1 game. Zuniga's first pitch, and O'Neill goes after it and pops it up. A big, big second out of this inning as it's put away there by Donovan Solano. 2 gone.
Yeah, for Zuniga too, for this bullpen, he was going to be one of those back-end guys. He's a too little too late. You got that 3-run deficit right now. You can get that fastball. That was 95 in on the hands. Look, 95 can get up to 97, 98 with the Seattle Mariners in their minor league system. And Tyler O'Neill knows that just trying to jump out on some kind of mistake middle of the plate. It's one in on his hands.
As Ryan noted, Gio, a member of the Mariners organization, he was also with the Phillies last year, combined for 42 games at AAA with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs and the Tacoma Rainiers. 2023 did pitch for Colombia in the Classic. Couple of appearances, earned a win in relief against Mexico in that big win for Colombia. And he's a big velocity guy as well. In 2023, he was clocked as now breaking from first. Naylor going to try to get in a rundown with a runner breaking for the plate, and Canada runs into the final out at home and sort of bails out Guillermo Zuniga here in the bottom of the 7th. But today's home team adds a run, and as we move into the 8th, Canada is out in front by 3 here in San Juan. We have seen a lot of aggressive base running today from both sides. Josh Naylor caught on the base paths here. Ryan, take us through this.
Yeah, and this is just Josh Naylor just trying to tie him up. He's pitcher right now and banking on the fact he wasn't going to step off so he could get that kind of that running lead. And unfortunately, he stepped off, caught in the rundown, and trying to force the issue. But again, we talked about this last year. That was a lot. There was a lot of those 30+ stolen bases from Josh Naylor last year, where it was just that step, that one step, two step, and then just take off, timing up the pitcher, but didn't work out that time.
We got a pinch hitter to lead things off for Colombia here in the top half of the 8th inning, and he will go against a new arm into the game for Canada as Micah Ashman takes over on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, a couple of years in pro ball, 6'7", lefty, low 90s fastball. Some good numbers too.
Spent time last season with the Tigers and Orioles organizations, now in Baltimore's system as Carlos Arroyo is in to see him. Arroyo, another guy who was a late addition to this roster. Colombia had a lot of late roster churning with guys moving on and off of this squad prior to the start of Pool A play, and yesterday was in the lineup for this team. This is a big spot to ask a guy to get your team started offensively, as that's up and in.
Ashman, 23 years old, comes in and pretty tight game for Canada. First time pitching for his nation.
Big swing and a miss there from Arroyo.
That's a tough look. 6'7". It's got that extension to it. 93 looks like it plays up a little bit. 95, 96. Biggest thing with Micah Ashman to get to that next level as he gets through the upper levels of the minor leagues. Can he develop that good breaking ball to go along with that heater? That's something since coming over to the Baltimore Orioles in that trade. He's trying to develop that, get him to that next level.
Carlos will give way to his brother Michael. Mariners prospect swings and foul tips that one into the glove. It's 0-1. Michael Arroyo 2 for 3 today. There's the scouting report on Micah Ashman. He is a big framed guy. Those are really long levers to operate. I mean, he is just powering things into the zone right now. That one's 94.
See him gripping that split too. That's another pitch he throws. And I tell you what, if you can get that velocity, you're talking 94 to 96 with that extension, and you can hone that split that he's gripping. Right now, with that kind of extension, man, he could be lethal in someone's bullpen up in the big leagues.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Michael Arroyo. RBI single for Michael back in the 3rd inning. That drove in the lone run of the first 2 games for this Colombia team so far. 2-2 pitch coming to him, and it drills it. So 1 out base runner for Colombia, and it doesn't feel good, but you'll take it any way you can get it right now if you're Jose Mosquera and that third base coaching staff.
Yeah, once again, Colombia's got a thick part of that lineup coming up. It's still in reach too. You mentioned this in the break too, Tyler. It felt like a 10-run lead because you feel like it's been all Canada, and especially too just magnified by the fact that Colombia just unable to get anything going. That energy seeps into the dugout as well. It's a big spot. Plus you have a young Micah Ashman's probably nerves are running high right now.
And this has got to be the time for Colombia. You got 2, 3, 4 coming up. I know you got an out in the inning, but you know we sort of talked about this in the 6th when Harold Ramirez was leading off, that this is the spot in the order that you're really relying on as he shoots this one to right center. It'll get past Clark and skip all the way to the wall. Flying around third base, here comes Michael Arroyo. He will score easily, stumbling and still able to get to the plate. Arroyo, an adventurous trip in for Colombia's 2nd run.
Yeah, he stumbled a good 15, 20 feet away from home plate, and you're lucky that throw kind of got away. To see Michael Arroyo, hopefully he's okay. I know this Colombia's holding their breath, so the Seattle Mariners organization.
Such an awkward fall. You hope he just kind of got the wind knocked out of himself. But an RBI knock for Harold Ramirez, and the double has given his team life, because now you look up and all of a sudden your offense has been really quiet the first nearly 2 full games. You got the tying run coming to the plate now here in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, as much as we've talked about, look, Mike Ashman, 6'7" lefty coming up through someone's system, the Baltimore Orioles. But you're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. See 91-93, middle of the plate. So you're going to hunt that fastball. Let's get another look at this. Michael Arroyo stumbles. And, man, I'm telling you, that throw got away from the cutoff man out there by first base for this Canadian team. You're right. Probably got the wind taken out of him a little bit. Another sip of Gatorade.
Whoever that was on Gatorade duty, what a teammate.
Oh, yeah.
Just hands the cup over.
That was me back in the day.
Reynaldo Rodriguez left side. Gobbled up by Lopez, 2 gone. Here it is at full speed. I mean, Arroyo can fly.
Yeah, he can. Now watch this strike. You can see the ball getting away in the background there, and see Bo Naylor just screaming as you saw Michael Arroyo struggling to get to home plate. See the Canadian fans on the plate as well.
So a 2-out spot with a man in scoring position for Donovan Solano, who takes ball 1.
And you got a veteran bat right here in Donovan Solano. Guarantee he's just thinking, just shoot something. Right center field, knock this 3rd run in. Again, going back to that relay too, right? So you see Denzel Clark. You see that ball just getting away from Otto Lopez right there. Man, that cost him. That could have gotten Michael Arroyo out of the plate.
1-1. 2 balls and a strike now on Solano. Like you said a second ago, eyeing right center field if you're Solano. They are shaded him that way. Tyler O'Neill a little bit over toward the right field line. Denzel Clark over toward right center as well, as you got to look at the outfield alignment for Canada. Ashman trying to finish off the 8th. Solano lifts one high and foul. 3rd base side. Maybe a look over there for Abraham Toro. No, it'll get out of play. The wind has just done such bizarre things with baseballs hit on the left side of this field that if you're Toro, you have to be giving everything a look, because there's a chance that it's going to come back to you. Canada with some work going on in the bullpen. Eric Sarantola.
Yeah, get going quick. You get that feeling, right? Like, I know there's 2 outs here, but if Solano's to reach, all of a sudden you got a 4-3 game.
Good job holding up there. And the count goes full on Donovan Solano. Reynaldo Rodriguez was caught stealing earlier in this game. Pretty decent speed for the first baseman out there in scoring position, with Gio Urshela waiting in the on-deck circle and first base open. 3-2. Solano fouled down the left field line.
And this is what he does too, Donovan Solano. 38 years old. He has these kind of at-bats. You saw this last year with the Seattle Mariners. Out of the gates, month of April, he really struggled. Was supposed to be that platoon guy facing lefties. As the season went on, he got into a nice little rhythm there, but playing time was cut short. But man, this is going to be a tough at-bat nonetheless. Now 3-2. Got that open base. Let's see if Ashman can get him to chase right here. Hand the ball off to that bullpen.
Ashman ready once more. Here comes a 3-2 to Solano. And off the plate for ball 4, and the tying run is aboard now for Colombia here in the top of the 8th. And it sets it up for one of the most successful bats in Colombia's recent big league history for Gio Urshela, but he may not see Micah Ashman, as Canada's manager Ernie Witt out of that first base dugout looks as though he'll go and get his left-hander. Pitching change for Canada. 2 on for Colombia in the 8th. One of the most veteran bats in Colombian baseball at the major league level steps into the batter's box in the biggest moment of the game for his team today. That is Gio Urshela, the only player in Colombian history to reach the 20-homer threshold in a major league season, but he has struggled in the World Baseball Classic. 1 home run, just a 157 average. Those numbers include World Baseball Classic qualifier games, so it's not exactly the smallest of sample sizes for a tournament in 15 total games. And he'll go to work against the Kansas City Royals prospect Eric Cerantola.
Big spot right here for Eric Cerantola. He's got that really good fastball. Get upper 90s. He cleaned up the command. We saw those numbers in 2025. The one thing he had to clean up the last couple of years, 5th round draft pick, was some of that command. Walks per 9 were up around 6. Look at this. He's pitching nowhere near the strike zone. Gio Urshela really aggressive. I think he's going to get fastball middle of the plate.
Fouls that one away. Yeah, it was almost like Urshela had just decided, I'm swinging first pitch no matter what. And now he finds himself in an 0-2 hole. Tying run is on at first in the person of now a pinch runner, Brian Buelvas, the Athletics prospect, takes over that spot from Donovan Solano. Cerantola trying to get his team back into the dugout with a 2-run lead, and does so with a swinging and missing strike 3 as Urshela is gone on 3 pitches. And that'll do it for Colombia's rally. We go to the bottom of the 8th, Canada with a 2-run lead. Well, not a real competitive at bat with the tying runs on base for Gio Urshela. Ryan, walk us through this.
Yeah, I mean, that first pitch, he was just coming out swinging, just trying to ambush a fastball middle of the plate. Cerantola just 54-footed that slider, and all of a sudden, Gio Urshela, man, 3 pitches. You've got to have better at-bats. He saw the one from Solano right before that against Micah Ashman. As a veteran, man, you've got to figure out that Cerantola can struggle with that command, keep that inning alive, but 3 pitches, smell ya.
So we move into the bottom of the 8th inning. Canada sees its lead cut from 3-2. But they will have the middle third of the order. Tyler Black leading things off against Gio Zuniga. Dances out of the way of that pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Some defensive changes for Colombia on the infield after the pinch hitter and pinch runner last inning. Carlos Arroyo is at third base. Gio Urshela moves from third to short. Jordan Diaz has come into the game. He'll play second. Grooves in there at 97 for a strike. There you see the Colombia alignment now.
I guarantee you get a shot of Gio Urshela is still thinking about that at bat.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly quick AB for a veteran guy in the biggest spot of this game. Zuniga deals. Black takes ball 3.
Yeah, when you dissect it a little bit more too, look, I know it's just 3 pitches, but you're in the on-deck circle saying, you know what? I'm banking on the fact I'm getting something middle of the plate. He's going to try and sneak himself ahead of the count. That pitch was nowhere near the strike zone at all. And the pitch after that was a good little tight slider he threw, and then, man, it's tough when you're down 0-2 like that.
Leadoff walk for Tyler Black. He and his team aim to get that run back and more here in the bottom half of the 8th. And that'll bring up Otto Lopez. The Marlins stand out in his 2nd World Baseball Classic. Runner off from first. Lopez takes it inside. Throw is not anywhere close, and it escapes into center field. Here goes Black for third, and speed kills here in the 8th. Tyler Black puts himself 90 feet away with nobody gone.
Yeah, he had that base stolen easy. Now, you can see him just kind of jumping off the bag. Now, remember we showed when Josh Naylor was caught in that rundown, right, where all of a sudden Zuniga had stepped off. I guarantee you Josh Naylor would have gone back to the dugout and said, look, pick up this, whether it's on his foot, his shoulder, or whatever it may be, and there's a tell there from Zuniga, and then the whole dugout's jumping all over that. Huge break for Team Canada.
Infield pulled in with Lopez at the dish. And a check swing sprayed up and over this distinctive roof here on Beathorn. Even with the bags all the way around, even a little bit tighter than that. Zuniga kicks and deals. Lopez in the air, very, very shallow center. Polo coming in, no chance here at a tag, as just a bluff there from Black and a strike from Polo, one away.
Although Lopez, tough man to strike out, that's for sure, and makes a ton of contact. So take advantage, man. I mean, Colombia's just down by 2 runs. Runner hanging out there at third base. Drive this guy in.
Brings up Abraham Toro. Toro was part of the prospect classes that started to get to the big leagues, graduate, and make the Houston Astros what they were at the end of the 2010s, into the 2020s. He was a top 30 prospect in that Astros system from 2018 through 2020. He was their number 3 in 2020. Family originally from Venezuela, but went to Quebec shortly before he was born. Abraham in his 2nd World Baseball Classic. Today, 1 for 2, double and a run scored in the 2nd. And an RBI walk, and he's going to get himself another RBI here as he clubs this one out over the head of Ramirez and left. It's extra bases for Toro. He drives in Black. Toro is headed for 3rd, and he's got himself a triple.
Good piece of hit. We've seen this a couple times now from Abraham Toro, wearing out that left field, getting a good pitch to hit, something he can handle, and driving that ball in the gap. Harold Ramirez was playing so far in as well. A big reason why is because of that wind. They made that adjustment as this game went on. And look at this, nice little, letting that ball get a little deeper, driving that ball into left center field for run number 5.
So Canada immediately reclaims that run. Abraham Toro last season, a couple of triples with the Worcester Red Sox and the Boston Red Sox organization. As this ball crushed but foul from Bo Naylor.
We're talking about Abraham Toro coming up with the Houston Astros. I remember he got traded to the Seattle Mariners for Kendall Graveman, walked across the field. Played the rest of that series and just absolutely went off. And that's where he's getting a really good chance to play. He wasn't, behind someone in front of him. Those talented infielders with the Astros. He's had a pretty good run since then, bouncing around a couple different teams. He was with the Boston Red Sox last year. Really good at bats though for Toro early on game 1 here for Team Canada.
Ball and 2 strikes on Bo Naylor. Zuniga evens it up. Tough day for Colombia. You'd come into a game like this anticipating having one of your superstars starting on the pitcher's mound. Julio Teheran unable to go, shoulder discomfort in his pregame work today. So it turns into essentially a bullpen game. Austin Bergner got the start, really fared pretty well in his couple of innings of work, but it's all coming apart here in the bottom of the 8th. It's a knock for Bo Naylor. He drives in Abraham Toro, and Canada extends it to the biggest lead of the day. It's now 6-2.
And you're going to make better pitches than that with 2 strikes, especially 2 when you got a runner on third base, a couple of open bases. You can get out of the strike zone a little bit. Bo Naylor just, again, this Canadian team with Toro, Naylor wearing out that left center field. It's a good little piece of hit right there.
And it looks like that's going to do it for Guillo Zuniga as Jose Mosquera out of the third base dugout will go to get him. Canada has added 2 in the 8th. It's a 6-2 lead.
We talk a lot about the schedule for these 5 teams in Pool A, the 2026 World Baseball Classic. There are off days throughout the opening round for each of these teams, but man, look at that line on the bottom of your screen. The reason we bring this up, Colombia will play 4 straight days along with Panama. They have the final 2 days off in this opening round, but they are 8 pitchers deep today.
Right.
And they used 7 yesterday, Ryan, and they do not have an off day to reset things during this group. So it is a tall order for this pitching staff from here on out.
Yeah, and yesterday too, obviously Quintana, there's going to be restrictions with him regardless, but a couple guys with 30 plus, man, it is so much tougher when you have 4 straight games than having some of these sprinkled in off days, especially the way you try and line up this pitching, as you see Jan Romero. But man, when you lose your starter right before the game and then you have to somehow pick up the pieces and put it all together, especially too when you're lacking some of that depth we keep talking about the last couple of days with this Colombian team, it can be a tough stretch, especially when you're talking game 3 and game 4.
Romero, the 30-year-old right-hander out of Cartagena. Saw some time in the Venezuelan Winter League this year with Aragua. 23 games, a 2.79 ERA for him there. He pitched in the Mexican League, the Summer League, the Liga Mexicana, with a couple of teams last year, Querétaro and Dos Laredos, but combined for a 6.28 ERA and 16 relief appearances. Did pitch in 9 major league games with the Nationals and Twins in 2021 and 22. He's trying to stem the tide of this Canada push here in the bottom of the 8th. Owen Casey, who, again, to grab the immortal words of the legendary Shoresy, set the tone for Canada in the 2nd inning with his 2-run homer. He has struck out twice since, but that's what got Canada going. Now he breaks his bat and flares one into right, and he's got himself a 2nd hit of the day. Rounding 2nd, Bo Naylor digs for 3rd, and it's 1st and 3rd with 1 gone.
They're just opening up the floodgates right now, especially when you get a 3-1 count with uber prospect like Owen Casey is just going to be hunting the fastball. Yeah, got in on the hands, broke that bat, but still got plenty of power to knock that ball into right field. Tyler, as they say, that bat went down a hero.
That's the 2nd just shattered bat, too. That was Josh Naylor earlier who broke one. Yeah, a couple of bats dying as heroes today on that Canada side. I would assume they all have to use maple, right? Like, if you're a Canadian guy, you can't use an ash bat.
I have no idea.
We should go down and see if there's some sort of decree from Baseball Canada. We're only going maple bats, guys. Got the leaf on the helmet, on the flag, on the batting gloves. First and 3rd with 1 out for Denzel Clark.
Now, Tyler, I ranked, you asked me to rank the offenses, the lineups for these teams. I put Canada #1, and for good reason. They're showing it off today. But when I look at Canada and Puerto Rico, now Puerto Rico, they're on home soil. You're thinking they're the favorite. They've had such a good run in this World Baseball Classic, the history of it. But when you look at this lineup, 1 through 9, the projected lineup compared to Puerto Rico's on-base percentage, they're better than them. They slug better than them as a whole collectively. 700 plus OPS. Now I'm talking about all the players that had major league time last year in the big leagues. They wear that Canadian uniform. They strike out at a better rate. They toppled that Puerto Rican team. Now I know Puerto Rico, especially too, the fact they're missing some of their bigger players with Correa and Francisco Lindor, Javi Baez. Man, this team is absolutely stacked offensively. And they're dynamic too. There's speed up and down this lineup as well.
You know, it is crazy looking at this lineup and thinking Owen Casey is your 8-hole hitter.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Denzel Clark out of the 9 spot, who really got his team started in the 7th, reaching on that error and scoring a run. Now he puts a charging one out to center. Polo to the alleyway with Mariaga converging. It's actually, check that. That's Buelvas who's out in right field. The throw cut off, and moving into 2nd anyway is Casey. And the sacrifice fly plates Naylor, and it adds another one. It's now a 7-2 Canada lead.
That's some good base running right there. Bo Naylor, I mean, easy 90 feet for him to get home, plenty deep enough, but Owen Casey having that heads up base running. Looking at this, thinking to himself that Buelvis is probably going to overthrow the cutoff man. He didn't. Solano cut that ball off, and Owen Casey still able to get in there with some of that speed.
That is really heady base running.
Now get another look at it right here. This is a situation where, look at this, taking off, stopping for a second. I caught in between, but still, man, enough wheels, even with the cut, to get into second base.
He has been outstanding today. Casey 2 for 4, the homer, the single, that play there. Hasn't had a lot of work in the outfield, but showing Marlins fans why they can be tremendously excited about him. He'll team up with Otto Lopez in Miami this year. As Edouard Julien, now of the Colorado Rockies, after a trade this offseason. Checks that one. All runs this inning charged to the account of Guillo Zuniga. The door has closed on him. Colombia just running out of steam here late. 7 runs on 8 hits for Canada, 2 runs on 6 hits for Colombia. That one will get away from Beohin. And it's ball 4 on top of it. So first and third again, 2 out. And that'll bring up one of the most dangerous bats in Pool A in Josh Naylor.
And the wheels have just completely come off here, especially not just for today, but for the next couple of days too, when you're going to have all these restrictions on some of the pitches. Flashed it up. 7 guys they used yesterday, 8 guys today. Again, for Canada, this first game, just getting your feet underneath you too. This is another part of this too, Tyler. So Colombia has that mini camp before they come over here. We talked to Ernie Witt about this, how tough it is for guys like Josh Naylor when they're trying to bring together their team. You only have a couple days. Guys coming from all different organizations, spring training, and you have 2 or 3 days to really get that good feel, that team camaraderie, and put all the pieces together. But man, this helps. You have some runway now in game 1. To feel really good about yourself where you're at offensively.
One thing to keep in mind, Ryan, even though there have been a lot of pitchers used, only